Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turn. I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
James Farley.
Hello.
And Sean Bell.
Watcher.
We're going to start the show by thanking our Patreon producers for this month. They're the Full Nels crew. They are Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks chap, Simon Nelson, Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Trans Rights to Human Rights, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, Rocketman76, Grey Dragon Claw, Fred Fenge, Smooth Monkey, Don Whiskerando, Colin Spiff, Richard Sawyer, Tom S, John Tempelli, Jackie Sniper, Gordon Garrow, Safe As Records. Whoa, got a rare doodah right there. Sam Higton, Max Watkins, Laser Quest, and Freelance Police. They're the Full Nels crew, and we love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for supporting the show. I can't tell you how much that means to us. You can join the Full Nels crew by going to patreon.com/TCGS or sign up to the various different tiers that we've got going on. The podcast tier, the video tier. There's all sorts of tiers there, isn't there, Matt?
Full Nels
tiers.
Full Nels tiers.
Full Nels tier. Yeah, that's the one to aim for. If you miss, you won't get angry.
Sorry to interrupt. I know we don't usually address the visual elements. James, why do you look like you've been disarming a bomb for the last minute or so?
What do you mean?
You just look like you're really concentrating, looking confused, and looking around.
Having a panic on.
And then
what's up, mate?
What's going on?
No, there's reasons, but I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Apologies. Okay. I want to hear the reasons now.
No, because I'm not podcasting. I'm not recording this.
You are, mate. You are podcasting.
That's what we're doing right now.
You're doing that now, matey.
This is a
I'm
podcast.
not doing it.
God, has it started?
I'm not doing it in my normal environment, and because of that, there's people outside that keep making noises and things.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I'm just like trying to.
Not saucy noises.
No.
Okay.
Not like that.
James, the problem is that your mic is you further away from your mic than you usually are.
No, it's right. Look, it's right here.
No, don't do that.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to. Can you speak up?
I've got to edit this.
Speak up loud.
I'm speaking as loud as I possibly
my
can.
first podcast.
No, you're not. You could speak louder than that, and we need you to make a few sex noises, please.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that.
Please do that.
That's what he says.
James,
that's his
James,
sex
are you
noise.
telling me you didn't, James, bring your portable on-air light?
No, I didn't. No.
So yeah.
I'm seeing James on Wednesday.
Excuse me.
I'm seeing James on Wednesday. It's been quite a treat for me this week because I'm seeing James on Wednesday. I saw Matt on Friday. I just needed Sean Bell to complete the packet.
Chose not to see me on Saturday, Dave.
Couldn't see you on Saturday, Sean, because
well, I was in the area.
You could talk. The amount of times you come down to London and fuck off without even telling me.
You don't live in London.
Yes,
it's like I had Sam White saying, "Oh, why didn't you come?"
He lives like right on the outskirts.
Yeah, it's like I had Sam White saying, "Oh, why didn't you come and see me?" It's like because you're an hour and a half away, Sam. That's why not.
Hold on. Well, that's interesting. I live right on the outskirts. You want to stay here because it's close to London on Wednesday night, James. That's interesting. Tell you what, you can fuck off back to Canterbury then.
Yeah.
Fuck off to Canterbury then, James.
No, it just so happens that you are. Well, it's
okay. Just so, yeah. Right. Okay. I saw Matt on Friday. Though we went to a lovely gig, didn't we, Matt?
Oh, we did.
It was a great time.
Kid Capici at Coco. Oh, it was a lovely old gig.
We're right at the front, like a right pair of,
Yeah, I mean,
metalheads.
Yeah, that was your idea to go to the front, and I went along with it. I was happy with it.
Was it all right? Well, because I know, because I can never gauge whether or not it's going to be rough at the front of a gig or not, because I feel like there's gigs where I'd expect it and it never happens, and vice versa. So what was it like?
Well, the gigs you go to, you're the only two people that show up, isn't it, Sean? So
and we were beating the shit out of each other, Dave. It was mental.
Yeah, no, it wasn't too bad, but it was when. The band released.
I think I was too close. At one point, I was like, if I'm like 2 people back, I'll be right amongst the action. But if anything,
well, you wanted to be in the mosh pit, did you? It looked pretty vicious.
And
also, when I watched the video back, because they released a video shortly after, and you see me and Matt all the way through it, I did look at us and think, oh God, yeah, no, we were surrounded by much younger people, and I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't care.
I care a little bit.
When I start questioning now, I'm not going to go to gigs again, and that's not going to happen. So
no, you could go to gigs and just stand with the old people, can't you?
Yeah, stand in the back with all the.
I might as well watch on TV.
Hang out with all the crusties at the back. You'll be fine. See, I'm going to see. I mean, this is different. It's comedy. It's not music. But I'm going to see Joe Pera twice this year. I've got no idea what the audience for that is going to be like.
Mosh pit.
Do you reckon? Just absolutely savage.
Just 50 people that look exactly like you.
Well, this is it. Because that would not surprise me. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be 50,
well, I had a bit of a conundrum. Before I left, I thought, what am I going to wear to this thing? You know, so I had a lovely light polo shirt that I thought, yeah, I might wear that. But I also had one of the band's t-shirts, Sean. And I was thinking, where do you sit, Sean, on wearing the band's t-shirt to their gig?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
All right, is it?
Yeah, I mean,
is it like wearing a football shirt to the football match?
Well, you see, I don't know. I assume that's the done thing, isn't it?
Yeah, for most teams. Yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah,
what I'm saying
is
that that's acceptable, isn't it?
Show of support. As long as you're not like, look at me, I'm the best fan, I know all the words. I
was a bit like that.
Yeah, Dave was very much like that.
The thing is that, I've never seen a problem with it, but I know that some people, no, you don't wear the band shirt to their own gigs. But I think it's weird if you're wearing another band shirt to the gig, which I see more of. Like people turning up and just, 9 Inch Nails. But they're not here, mate. So all you're doing is saying, well, I like this lot better.
Rather see 9 Inch Nails, to be honest.
Yeah, I personally think it's fine to wear another t-shirt for another band in the scene. I don't think I would necessarily wear the band
So if someone
t-shirt.
turned up with a Steps t-shirt on.
Yeah, Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, but I mean,
You'd be
they're
like,
very
"Get
much in the
out."
scene. Yeah, I don't think I would wear the name of the band, like the band's t-shirt, to see the band I'm seeing. But that's just me. But I would wear a football shirt.
Okay. So why not?
The team I'm supporting. I don't know. It just feels a bit too much.
What does that mean? Hold on. Sorry. You're the guy in his 40s saying, I want to be at the front of the gig, right? But if you're wearing the band's t-shirt, you're going, that's too much.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just not saying no. I think personally that's a no for me. But I would wear a band from within, in the scene, similar band. I just would do it.
James, when you went to your first gig, when you went to see Beethoven, did you wear a Beethoven t-shirt? Or
I didn't. I mean, I thought about wearing a Mozart one because it's kind of like it's
the same scene. Yeah,
it's the same scene. Yeah, well, that's great.
Yeah, you'll be all right. He's at the right side. What a night!
Beethoven second.
It was really good, and we before we went to the gig, we had I was meeting Matt. Like the plan was that Matt was going to come here and then we were going to go back, but for him to travel here just to go back into London again, especially Camden, because that's the other side of London to me. I thought, maybe that's a bit too much. So you stay where you are, Matt, and I'll come and see you. And then when I met you, I was like, we've got 7 hours to kill. Like, what the fuck do we do now? So we went and played. We went to one of those flight club places, the darts places where. So it's a dartboard, but it can detect where the darts landed, and because of that, there's various different types of games that does all the scoring for you and all that sort of stuff. And oh my god, that was just insanely good fun.
Awesome.
Different things, they had what do you call it, a stakes and ladders board, but depending on where you hit on the board is your dice roll. So if you got a bullseye, that counted for a 6. If you got an outer ball, that was a 5. So you're playing snakes and ladders, but you're like, right, I need to avoid a 2 and a 4. Otherwise I get a snake and I go back to the start. It was just, and then they give you little slow motion videos of you finishing and all that sort of stuff.
There's also cameras there. So if you get a winning shot or whatever, there's that you can do a group shots. It's just a great time all round, isn't it? I mean,
it was for me. I mean, yeah, I think
still fun.
Pretty much every game.
Well, yeah, but when we took total score, we weren't actually that far away in the grand scheme of things.
Well, yeah, I think the score might have been.
I'd love to do it again.
Should we get onto the feedback from last week's show? Did they all love it, Matt?
Yes. Well, Tony Baloney did. I listen to the show twice a week. Once while I'm working, where I miss loads, and so I listen again sometime later in the week. Kind regards, Tony. Boxer briefs, size 12 shoes.
Nice.
I like
Thanks, Tony.
this information now.
Size 12. That's a big old foot. Do you know the worst for that? Is listening to Criminal. Whenever you listen to Criminal and you're working or you're doing something and you stop listening for 30 seconds, you have to rewind it every time.
So this is why I can't work and listen to podcasts at the same time. I can't do that because I just miss things.
Depends what sort of work
it just irritates me.
I'm doing, but I do the same thing as Tony. I do with Alice and John every week. Listen to it once and go, because I'll just put it on as if it's a radio show, right, and just sort of have it on as I'm doing stuff.
Yeah, I like doing that. Yeah.
But yeah, inevitably miss half of it and then listen to it again.
But no, the weird thing about podcasts is that especially with criminal, you could be like, Sally and Graham then went into the shop, and it's like, died on the train. The whole town was shocked to hear, and you're like, what? Go back. How the fuck did we get it? And the other one is, I don't know if you've done this, where you've accidentally listened to a podcast that you've already heard, and the only reason you remember that you've already heard that podcast is because you're transported back to where you were when you heard that bit. You were like, I'm like walking along going, why am I on the bus now?
Yeah, I've heard it.
Oh yeah, I must have listened to this on the bus, this bit on the bus. It's like so weird. Or sometimes I do that. I go, where was I up to on this podcast? I can't remember. If it hasn't saved it or whatever, so it's gone wrong. Where was I up to? And then I go, well, I remember this bit, and I was just putting the last washed up plate on the draining board. So it must be, I must be round there. Next.
Quantum of Solace Rules has messaged us. Why do you want every game to control the same? I'm so bored of modern games as they all look and play the same. They all use the same engine now and have the same feel. I haven't bothered buying new consoles. I'm just so tired of it all. My enjoyment of gaming now is playing retro, especially in the early 3D era where they were trying different things with radically different control schemes. It makes every game feel unique and I love it. There's another bit as well, but this is obviously related to GoldenEye last week or the week before, where we were talking about the fact that the controls are so out of whack with modern games. It's just hard to even get into it on the Switch, at least.
This doesn't make any sense.
The thing is, it's not like the original GoldenEye controls were designed the way they were to be different. It was just because the rules hadn't been established yet. It's not it's not a meaningful diversion from the norm because there was no norm. So I kind of get what they're saying, but I don't think it's the same as someone like having to innovate because they want to try something new. It was just because they didn't know any better. Yeah. And I think there's...
Yeah, and when it comes to trying something new, there needs to be some focus on how this is an improvement over... Yeah. Even if not everyone agrees, that's fine. But if there's an idea of this feels better, like, for example, action games and driving games, for example, they used to be... no, not driving games, less so much driving games, but action games. It used to be A, B button to hit, and maybe X, dodge, all this sort of stuff. That's more and more put onto the shoulder buttons. Oh, that makes total sense because you've got full control of your movement and the camera at the same time. You can see the improvement there, right? And now everyone goes, oh, every game controls like Dark Souls. Well, it don't. It's just Dark Souls established this, and I'm sure it was done before Dark Souls, but Dark Souls seems to establish this attack on the bumpers and triggers and stuff. And there's a clear benefit of that. Yeah. Whereas GoldenEye, no one can convince me that the way you look about in that game is better than how the modern standard is, because it's not.
Just because it was what was the best they had at the time that they were trying to work up with.
It was only one stick.
And the thing is, right, is I get what he means to a degree. Like I love that era as well, where there was loads of companies throwing out like video game consoles like they were going out of style. There was like loads of different controllers, loads of different, but most of them failed, and the reason they failed was because they weren't very good. Like, and that's why things coalesced around certain designs and certain styles. It's because they generally work better over time.
And I think there's also an argument for like when the controls are standardized. That then that mental load is then taken away from the player, right? And you can then innovate in other areas.
Oh, totally.
Like you don't if we lived in a world where every FPS had different controls, you don't get something like Titanfall 2, right? Like the parkour stuff and the movement in that, because everyone's going to be too busy working out how to control the basic. Yeah. So you don't get that refinement. I do see what they're saying. Like I can see the appeal of like just because something is an FPS, not necessarily knowing how it controls, right? But also that's me speaking as a veteran gamer, for want of a better term. Like, that standardization is also super helpful for accessibility reasons and people who are new to gaming. So
you think it's
I don't understand this whole thing either about how all modern games look and play the same. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like,
I would say in the AAA,
maybe
there's a lot of
similarities
similarities there.
There's a greater diversity of things coming out now, though, than there's probably ever been.
Well, this is something I kind of want to talk about later, but like, what makes a successful game these days? But we'll discuss that later, because there's some stuff in the news that sort of.
I think if you look at, say, the modern open world 3D adventure, or the modern open world game, the modern FPS, like, a lot of them are like, okay, it feels kind of cookie cutter in some regards. So I definitely get that. I mean, there is loads of diversity, as you say, James. If you seek out the indie titles or go outside kind of the main kind of big budget AAA games, I can see that.
But even in terms of the AAA games, there are quantum leaps in difference in terms of quality between those as well. Like, in terms of those like 3D open world games, there are good ones, and there's not that many, I would say, that are very, very good. And there are loads of cookie cutter ones around. It's true. There's tons of those, but there are others that are absolutely excellent. And it's, I don't know, just writing off entire stuff because you're just like, oh, everything's the same. I don't think that's true.
I think because this person doesn't play modern games, so from afar they're like, this all looks the same. It's all just a brown.
I think if you were to get involved, you would discover more nuance than you might.
And there's certainly been some games that really have tried new things. Like, for example, Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, it took a bit of flack for its control systems, but as we said, Sean, at the time, it's very much in service of the game. And what's great, I don't know if you've seen the TikToks that are doing around at the moment, but the people that have nailed those controls now, it's absolutely incredible to see the action they're putting together. Go and have a look on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, but sequences that people are doing of picking up a bottle, chucking it in someone's face, drawing a gun, shooting that, changing direction. It looks so cinematic. But the downside of that is that a lot of people didn't know how to fucking control the thing, and it pissed them off. You know what I mean?
I mean, also, that whole thing in terms of like retro gaming, like saying like how there's more diversity of things, I don't think that's true either. Like, if I think back to like Mega Drive era, it's like, okay, which version of Animal Platformer am I going to play? It's like there was so many. There was so many like platformers came out during that generation, and
I like
it was the same thing. The worm one,
that one.
Yeah, the worm one was pretty good actually. To be fair.
They continue. Also, to James, I recently completed Perfect Dark and I loved it. It was so much more engaging than any new COD. They actually give you the freedom to play how you want. You should watch the speedrun to understand how amazingly in-depth the game is.
That's not true. Play it how you want. Yeah, you can do that until you fail a mission objective, and then you have to go right back to the start again, and you've lost like half an hour of your life.
I mean,
believe GoldenEye's doing that to me at the moment. It's so funny. We'll talk about it later.
I can believe the bit about it being more engaging than the new COD. I mean, that did nothing for me.
The new
COD was terrible.
The new COD was not good, but Perfect Dark was not. I don't think that is a good example of good game design, honestly. Like, it was.
I'll say this: I can't remember the last time I played a single-player first-person shooter and really got addicted to it. I really got into it. I know we had Cyberpunk, but I could never quite get into it. And I'm itching for a new BioShock or something that has a little bit of something about it.
See, the thing is
Half-Life
like
3 would be good, wouldn't it?
It would be very good.
Dave, have you played Prey?
I have, yeah.
The recent one, not the 20.
I started it and then I just got freaked out by all the fucking little spidery things.
Sorry, I forgot about the spider things. No, I was going to say, because to me it's an immersive sim. It is very similar to BioShock, I thought.
But that's it. I remember, it's that sort of game like Titanfall. I love a new Titanfall campaign. Hey, I've got two. I started playing.
We'll get on to that in a bit.
Hold on a minute. Oh, there's something in the news about it.
Yeah, have you not? Oh shit! All right, not good. Not
3.
Not good news. And just quickly on the GoldenEye stuff. I think it's quite telling that like when you play the Xbox version of GoldenEye, Yes, it has been modernized, fixed, you might say, but it still feels very different. It doesn't feel like Call of Duty at all. Like, it still has as like they've kept that. They haven't just made it like a modern shooter necessarily. So that's
a perfect example of a game that makes it, oh, this is how you remember how it was, and not actually how it was. Because oh my god, I've been loving GoldenEye this week. Harry's been sitting next to me, he's banging to it, he's loving it all. Like, yeah, it's mind blowing how that. Oh, I've got so much to say about that later. Look forward to that, listeners.
Yeah, I haven't played it, but when I was around Dave's and you put it on for a bit, I was like, oh my god!
Did I?
I've downloaded it, haven't had a chance to play it, but even seeing it is like, oh shit, and the watch, and yeah, I need to bloody play that game basically. There's one more bit to this email. It's actually a great email, so thank you, Quantum Socials. Also, when are Sony going to attempt to make another FPS? The genre feels so dead today, dominated by a franchise I gave up 13 years ago when they ruined it with Modern Warfare 2. This is like another kind of slight COD, but yeah, they had Resistance: Fall of Man. That seems like it's gone.
It's terrible.
Killzone, that's been a while. It's like, I guess they just think, why do we bother competing with COD? Let's not bother. They own Bungie. Bungie now.
Yeah, well, they might have started thinking
so because there's been like a whole stream, hasn't there, of like failed battle royale games. There's like like everything moved into that rather than like focusing on single player and stuff.
Because what was the one we saw? We watched an old Sony conference and there was a. Was it a kill? I don't think it was a Killzone.
Killzone?
Might have been a Killzone. Might have been. I can't remember. It was a futuristic shooter anyway.
It's one of them.
And I remember you all saying I had no idea what it was. I think you guys had all played it, and you're like, no, it is actually really shit.
Yeah.
But to look,
we're talking about the what's it one, right? What was it called? Killzone.
It was Killzone Shadow. Was it Shadowfall?
Shadowfall was on PS.
Shadowfall.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, Sean. Yeah.
No, it's all right. I was just making the point that, like, okay, it may have turned out shit, but that gameplay demo looked amazing. I thought.
Right. So that gameplay demo was the first level, which was really good.
Okay.
It was the second level. It was the first open level where you got Owl, right? Yeah. And you didn't like Owl. I quite liked it. In fact, actually, I didn't hate the game as much as James did.
Okay.
I thought
until that last level. The last level was one of the worst things ever.
Last level was wank, but it definitely had kind of some Half-Life vibes. I mean, it wasn't a Half-Life, but there was some things. It was like, okay, it's interesting, but yeah, last level was so wank. I was like, okay, that's game over. But
yeah, I'm with you, Matt. I'm with you. But then the last level was like an epilogue, wasn't it?
I would happily, if they we were announcing a new Killzone or Resistance, I'd be like, okay, let's go. I'd love to see what they can do with it. But I guess I think, what's the point? We don't need to. COD's killing it. We own Bungie. Yeah. We're good.
Yeah. When was the last really successful first-person shooter?
Like
outside of COD.
Yeah, I was gonna say with a primarily single player.
Yeah, something that.
We're really sort of panning this down now. Yeah,
I mean, define success.
That isn't COD.
Most of these games have multiplayer to like back to support. Or maybe justify.
This is it, isn't it? I think it's a cost thing, isn't it? Like, why on earth would you pay a studio to put out a AAA shooter that doesn't have multiplayer in it? Like, financially, I just don't think that makes sense anymore. Sadly.
You say that, but then we look at in the news we're going to see like a whole ton of games that have basically been shut down that are live services games, right?
Oh yeah.
So you're thinking all that money, they can't have been making any money on those, and that's why they've had to shut them down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if they just released the game, taken a game and released it, they might have made more money. Rather
let's get to that later because I think there's a discussion.
You don't throw good money over. Okay, right. SMW. I feel like this is the ongoing saga between SMW and
Stu versus Stu.
Stu on Destruction.
Stu on Stu.
This is SMW this week. I feel like me and Stu have got off on the wrong foot. He didn't like some of the office quotes you made. He's got to chill out. Yeah, trust me. It's what you guys do. All right. He will never listen to a podcast like this again. It's brilliant. Fact. And he will never know another Stu like me. Someone who's basically a chilled entertainer. Kind regards. SNW. Well, that sounds perfectly normal to me. So we'll move on.
Well, let's see what happens next week with Stu.
Yeah, if we can. All right? In a
we need some sort of jingle for that. Just before the next update from a Stu comes out. Stu update. Update.
Monty Don. Dave's Forsaken chat was genuinely one of the best podcast reviews of a game I've heard in a long time.
Really?
Forspoken.
Really?
What did I say?
You said Forsaken.
Forsaken.
Which is also a game, but yeah.
Yep. Okay. I'll carry on. Just wanted to tell you, as Sean mentioned, you get dickheads writing and giving you shit. So I just wanted you to know that there are people out there who really appreciate what you do every week for months.
Yeah, it's got
Thanks,
through
mate.
the armour a little bit recently, isn't it? The
Yeah,
shit.
but I mean, we don't bring up the positive stuff as much, which we should, because I think we feel like we're sort of self-aggrandizing too much if we do. But we should acknowledge like people are also very kind and they do massively outweigh the shit.
But then I did find the forum absolutely destroying me this today.
Really?
It's kind of like, why is this happening?
Oh dear. What, you specifically, or the?
No, just me.
Oh
just
wow.
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
the twat that laughs at him, or something like that. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really bother me that much, but I was just kind of looking at it going, what are these people doing? Why are they spending their time doing this?
I think I mentioned it to you guys in Imogen Twitter. So Imogen Mellor that we had on a few months back.
Yeah.
So I was at Gary's birthday party on Saturday. She was there, and I mentioned that the one negative bit of feedback we got when she was on, that was apparently I'm a simp because I laughed at her jokes too much.
They finally caught you.
Yeah, rumbled.
I love what goes through people's heads.
That's amazing.
Monty Don, thanks for the thumbs up for the Forspoken chat. I thought at the time, I'm totally lost in what I'm saying. I don't even know where I'm going with this.
Well, I think it was one of those, like, because like all I knew was that people were ripping it on Twitter and stuff, and that was kind of all I knew. So it was nice to hear someone who's actually giving it the time of day. I mean, obviously there are reviews of it written by professionals. I hadn't gone out of my way to.
All right.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not. I'm like.
Sounds like a diss.
No, I'm not
professional.
No, I don't want it to sound like, oh well, literally no one had reviewed it properly until Dave spoke about it. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, come on. Who's better than me? Listen, sorry, don't take my word for it, Sean. Monty Don said Dave's Forspoken chat was genuinely one of the best podcast reviews. He really did.
He's qualified. It's like us with the FPS stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really
had to do that.
What is that, like a backhanded compliment?
One of the best podcast reviews of a game I heard last week. But
between the hours of 9 and 2.
One of the best Davids in podcasting. Cheers, mate.
Yes. That is it for feedback. Go to tcgs.co/deartcgs to leave your feedback.
It's time for the news. James Farley.
Hello and good evening. Today we're going to be talking about Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox are reportedly skipping. Oh fuck!
You know what you started sounding like there, James? You started sounding like, you know when you go, you're not on TikTok, are you? But you know where they have not even on TikTok. You know there's those YouTube videos, Sean, where they're just what they do is they copy and paste articles from websites and then do text to speech with some music.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Like this is a thing, because obviously they get thousands of views because they're just and they've really got to the point where the text to speech people sound like real, and you sounded like one of them then, James. Today we are going to talk about Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox.
Wow, I can't believe it.
They're the worst ones on TikTok. We go, my friend says, Pav.
POV, you're Nintendo, you're not going to E3.
Oh, no. God.
Anyway, so Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox are apparently not going to be at E3 this year.
Woo,
and apparently it's not just they're not going to be there in terms of like doing any sort of conference or anything like that, but they're also not going to be on the show floor either.
So this literally broke 30 seconds after we stopped recording last week. Didn't it? It was literally like we finished like thanks Evan by Twitter. What the hell?
Yeah. So Xbox is still going to have like a physical showcase which will coincide with E3, just not at E3.
Right. So they're still going to do a show that we can watch in our.
Do you know what kills me the most about this? I think I genuinely had an amazing idea for a James Farley lie.
Oh yeah!
Like I was so excited about it, and I thought, this is it. This is the next step in the E3 saga that has been this show, and now it's not going to happen.
Well, don't worry,
say that
because Reed Pop have said that the exhibitor lineup will make the trip to LA well worth it.
I don't think it will.
But I think there's lots of kind of. But okay, right. So Microsoft haven't actually been at the E3 like main place because they've got their own like Microsoft Theatre down the road. So they haven't been in the LA Convention Center for a while because they're down there on their own, right?
Devolver will still be in a car park outside, which is apparently brilliant. I've never
Nintendo would probably still do a direct around the time. I mean, whether they, like, them not being on the show floor, it doesn't really affect, say, like people like us. I mean, it will affect like the press and stuff, but there'll still be a direct. And Microsoft will still do something. It just won't be on the LA.
Yeah, but the thing is, if they're a week apart, Matt, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
But the last few years it hasn't. It's been around the same time, isn't it? Nintendo.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's gonna happen.
I just want Sony to come back with flutes and all that kind of thing. And
all that shit, yeah. Just a dude with a banjo on stage for half hour. Yeah. All right, I want all that. Oh, mate, I tell you what, I miss all that shit. I miss all the fuck ups.
The theatre of it, it was great.
Oh god, it's so much fun, isn't it?
We had reports only like in the last couple of months saying, Repop have got this and that, and it's all happening. This might genuinely be, E3 is back. And then we hear this. It's so disappointing. All we want is E3 to be back in the way it was. I mean, it will probably never be the way it was, and maybe we're wanting something that just doesn't work these days. I mean, again, Nintendo.
I don't care.
I know that, but
I don't want to think about it more than this sucks. I don't want to think about it anymore.
We've still got Summer Games Fest. Like Jeff Keighley's still going to be running
that.
Go
from strength to strength.
It's like when you talk about it to friends or whatever, and then it's just going, yeah, but really. Sorry, I'm just talking about Matt. Yeah, but really, I mean, what's in it for them? I don't care what's in it for them.
Not about them.
I care what's in it for us.
Yeah.
Laughing at executives coming out and saying the wrong word, or the lights suddenly going off.
But those days were gone when Nintendo stopped. That wasn't an E3 thing.
This is sort of Nintendo's fault.
Oh no, you're right. Actually, this is great news. Yeah. No, you convinced me.
Because when Nintendo started doing directs, that was like, hang on, why are we doing this? And then that led to the rest. So if anything, blame Nintendo.
But Xbox still had their ridiculous shows, didn't they, with all the whooping and all that kind of thing.
The thing is, and especially we didn't mind Nintendo Direct being the way they were because it felt like they actually put some effort into them back then.
Yeah, that's true.
And they actually gave Sony video stuff.
They still found ways to do weird shit that we could laugh at.
Yeah.
For example, 25 minutes of Smash Brothers. They still found those ways. Yeah, they did. But doesn't it suck? Why are you like? I don't understand your view on this, Matt. I don't get it.
It absolutely massively sucks for us as fans. I'm just from the other point of view, I get it. But
I don't give
for us
a fuck
as fans,
about the other point of view.
Like E3,
just get them all back together.
Be the same as it was.
Someone needs to sit them all down and go, listen, we need more memes. We have run out of memes. Everyone's bored of the memes that we've got.
I mean, come on, it's like My Body Is Ready was ages ago.
God, I heard someone talking about the fucking crab again the other day. I was like, we need new ones, damn it. Those Revy drums, is it?
I mean, if you're missing Reggie, you can always listen to the audiobook of his memoirs.
It's incredible, isn't it?
And just marvel at the the pronounces finance. It's the best thing.
How does he say it?
Finance.
Also, that audiobook has got an amazing interview at the end between him and Jeff Keighley, where they're basically just going about how great each other is.
I never got that far. I need to finish it because we've never really talked about that on the show, and we probably should.
There's some cracking stuff in that audiobook.
Great stuff.
Like there's a lot of stuff where you're just like, I don't think this story's coming out the way you think it is.
No,
that's all.
What's more concerning is that the sources say that regarding Nintendo is that they don't expect Nintendo to have actually that many major releases this year. Obviously, Zelda's out before E3. Is that it? Like I read all this, heard the reports, heard it on podcasts. The biggest thing I took about was actually, hang on, so Nintendo basically got nothing other than Zelda this year?
Yeah, they're winding down, man. I'm telling you, they're winding down. This happens with Nintendo every time.
It's every time it's like this.
Yeah, they get to the point where
feels like it's really bad.
But you see, what's worse is normally.
Every time, Matt, honestly, it's it feels worse for this, I think, because of how successful the Switch is, right?
Yeah.
Like the Switch is just a runaway success, and for them to then just go, we've released everything.
But this has always been the pattern with Nintendo, hasn't it? The Switch like the success of the Switch is entirely off the back of how shit the Wii U was.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think there was some genuinely good stuff to play on the Wii U, but it was
Hold on, what do you mean?
clearly it fucking bombed, right? And that's
Right, yeah.
that's what made them desperate enough to be like, right, we need to fucking sort this out. And that's why the Switch was as good as it was. And there's always been this back and forth with Nintendo. And now we're in the lull again where they've made their money, so they're just like, no, we'll just fucking.
But that's what I'm saying. So with the Switch,
games.
when it was clear that they were going to start working on a new, bear with me, pause. Okay.
What's up?
All right, my fucking, sorry, I had to put Mutify on, and then that slowed everything down a bit on the recording thing, but it was still recording absolutely fine. It was just because it was loading up. Sorry. Sorry, mate.
It's all right. It's all right.
We're about to get some shocking breaking news then.
No. Sorry, that was my bad.
Turns out Nintendo have 2 games out this year.
Okay. So the thing with the Wii U, right, is that when it was clear that they were moving on to the next bit of hardware, that was when we had that year and a half of, the fuck are they doing? They're not even.
Do you remember
they're not even
some of those
talking about
directs?
games anymore.
Yeah, do you remember
It was bad,
there was
wasn't
that one for like Kirby's Fur World or whatever it was? No, it was like
Epic Yarn, was it?
Epic Yarn.
Epic Yarn, that's it. And
It's Fur World.
yeah, it was whatever it was called. I remember. And then they had like it was like a developer thing where they would just had like those plush like toys and everything, and they just talked about it for about 25 minutes. It was and it was like they really have run out.
It
of
feels
things.
like we're in that zone where they are working towards their next bit of hardware now. Yeah. So any focus on anything Switch related goes quiet. And
I'll
then...
tell you what though, I'm fascinated as how they're going to fuck it up, because you know that they're going to fuck this.
I cannot wait to see what they come out with next. Like what they need to do is come out with a new Switch. Yeah, right? I think we would take a much more powerful same thing.
That's all we want.
Backwards compatible, please, please. It won't be,
absolutely.
but backwards compatible, please.
Yeah, it won't be. They'll do something so it's just worse, and it'll be like, or they'll do something completely different. Everyone will be like, why?
They don't need to.
The carts that you get for the little cards you get for the Switch, they're fine. I don't think you'll find anyone complain about them.
Well, the taste, David, they taste horrible.
They do taste terrible.
No, they do taste horrible. Yeah, maybe make them.
Definitely.
Yeah, they should probably make them strawberry flavored this time.
Please.
But
Yum yum.
But like the Joy-Cons are fine enough. I mean, fix them, make them like not have that drift problem. But they're fine. Do you know? All everyone wants is just like what I want is for them to release just the square bit in the middle. Here's the Switch 2. You could buy it with Joy-Cons. But here's the Switch 2. All your shit just works with it.
Yeah.
Log in. Your carts work. Your downloads work. They fucking will not do that. But imagine if they did.
This is like when we just wanted like the Xbox One to be a better 360, and then like that's all we wanted. We wanted 362. That's all we needed.
Yeah.
Like, no, they ripped up and then did that, and then like, but and Nintendo will do the same. They'll need a quirk. They'll need something to make it different.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what they're doing next. Anyway, we're still talking about E3, aren't we?
Anyway,
we should probably move on.
It's very sad. Obviously, these are all reports, nothing's confirmed yet, but it doesn't sound good for the thing that we thought E3 was back. E3 is back this year, and now
Well,
this is it, and this sort of makes it sound more like I was saying when it was first announced that ReedPop were going to be doing it. It's like, well, is this just going to end up being another PAX? Which
I'm not in bed with ReedPop at the moment. No,
they wouldn't let you go to the comics.
They wouldn't let us go to the Comic Con.
Yeah. I mean, outrageous. Yeah, and that last DGX I went to was...
it was with MattMurray.com, the website. Internet's best gaming blog.
It's a great website.
I'm looking up with that website. It's...
Oh yeah, James has the domain now.
I'm MattMurray.com's webmaster.
I appreciate that.
Do you do an AGM? Can I get in on that?
You can, yeah.
Brilliant. Right, okay. Yeah. Is it a pay? Have I got to be a paying member? Or
you have to be. It's £15 a month or higher, and then you can join a Zoom call, and then we can talk about it.
Jesus. No, you're right. Okay, yeah, E3's dead. So that's that. That's that done then. We're video games. Brilliant.
Yeah. I'm holding hope.
It's dead, Matt.
Might be all right. Might be all right.
It won't be all right. It won't be all right because none of them have said anything about it this past week since this news story broke.
That's true.
So
also, the thing is that Microsoft have been adamant, like, hey, we're on the board at the ESA. E3 is a massively important part of the gaming calendar.
Yeah.
So for Microsoft to not do it, either Repop have totally fucked up,
Yeah.
or or it's just this is not actually confirmed.
If they are that involved, when this news story comes out, you go, don't be silly.
Of course we'll be there.
We're going to announce our developer direct on this date. That's what you do. Instead, just going quiet, not really fucking saying anything.
Well, no, I mean, they've said we place our showcase like we've always done at a time where hopefully it's convenient for press and even consumers that are going to our E3 event.
What does that mean, though? That's not in any sort of support of E3.
It says they're doing it in and around E3 time.
Right, okay, we'll see. We'll see.
Anyway, Sony is getting rid of their PlayStation Plus collection thing on May the 9th.
So is this finished. If you get a PS5, here's all the cool games?
Yeah.
Sort of...
Basically,
right, that thing. Okay, well that makes sense. That was used as it does. That was used as an incentive to buy PS5 when it launched, right?
Yeah.
There was no indication that was going to be an ongoing thing, and even less likely. I'm surprised it's still an ongoing thing since they did their relaunch of their subscription services. So that makes sense. I think. When are they doing this?
It's the 9th of May. It's ending, but I mean, if you claim everything before then it's fine. You still keep them, but you just won't be able to in the future.
Well, you actually just keep them. They're just on your account.
Well, as long as you've got a PlayStation Plus subscription active.
Right. Okay. I'll have to do that then, I guess. But there's not much on there that I want to play. That's the problem.
No, there's really not, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Okay, the next story though, which is also Sony, is that there was that whole thing about how they cut PSVR 2 production numbers.
That's right.
They said, well, they've now come back to Bloomberg and said that's not true. They said they've not cut PlayStation VR 2 production numbers. They said that they're seeing enthusiasm from PlayStation fans for the upcoming launch, which includes more than 30 titles such as Gran Turismo 7, Horizon Call of the Mountain, and Resident Evil Village. So actually, they're not cutting production, and everything's fine.
Oh well, there we go then.
Yeah.
You sound a bit cynical when you're reading that out, James. Do you not
a little bit. I'm a little bit cynical about it. Yeah, I reckon they definitely cut the production numbers of this, and they're just lying about it.
How many? Based on what?
Just based on the fact that I don't think I mean, it's all just guessing, isn't it? It's based on literally nothing apart from guessing and the fact that we kept on getting those emails asking us to pre-order all the time, even though
How many pre-orders do you reckon they got worldwide? Come on, have a rough guess, James. What do you reckon they're?
How many PS5s are around now? It's like
25 million?
25
30 million? Yeah, 35 million, something like that.
65 million?
I bet they've got less than 2 million or something.
I was going to say less than a million.
Yeah, 2 million would be a decent fucking pre-order.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't think you would.
Maybe less than 1 million then, or
James is just shooting at numbers.
Actually, no. Let's say less than 500,000.
Oh, they've got 10 million pre-orders.
It's.
I love the fact that he went. The fact that he thought he was lowballing at 2 million. We all just went, fucking hell, that'd be amazing.
Which is really funny because the story says that the outlet stated that Sony halved its forecast from 2 million to 1 million. And yet James thinks I had 2 million pre-orders. But they're like,
okay.
He does all his research.
We'll say 1.
It's just that detail escaped his
I love that.
Look, I haven't read the story. I've been really busy today. And so I didn't read the whole thing, obviously.
You've been busy today, and when did this go online? 31st of January.
A couple of days ago.
31st of January.
I'm gonna get so I don't stop doing how we're really harsh on James. I would like to say that James is my favourite in the world.
No, but it's look. The thing is, I didn't do the news earlier than this because you don't know if something's breaking's going to happen during Monday, because it does sometimes.
Imagine if you'd run the story that they had.
Breaking's going to happen. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Imagine if you'd run the story that they had cut the numbers, and then we were like, "No, James, there was a follow-up," and you were like, "What? When? When was that?"
Yeah, I don't know. Who cares? Anyway, so I don't think it's.
Sorry, James. You didn't know that something is breaking is going to happen. That was, I just wanted to check.
I'm really tired. Can you just leave me alone?
I'm really tired. Okay, yep. Go.
Before we move on to the next story, can I ask you something? You guys are, Matt, you're in marketing, so maybe you'll know. But this is totally irrelevant to anything. Why is this sudden trend of having a clip from like a TV show or something on half of the screen, and then like Grand Theft Auto that's completely unrelated on the bottom half of the screen? Why does that happen on like YouTube and TikTok and stuff?
I don't think I've seen this.
You've never seen this?
No.
It should be like a clip from like a show or like a Joe Rogan thing or something.
Yeah.
And then on the bottom half, there's like people driving around in Grand Theft Auto. You're like, why is that?
It's got something for everyone.
Gameplay there?
I mean, you're covered either way.
It's so bizarre and it's so weird. I don't get it. Is
that marketing or just? I mean,
well, no, there must be something. Like, I don't know. All right, okay, sorry. Go on.
That's all right.
If anyone knows, please let us know. Dear TCGS at gmail.com. What is it? Go on.
All right. Do you want to hear about Meta?
I do.
Yeah, they do really well. Are they? They're doing loads of
really
good stuff.
Close to
good decisions.
Sort of just saying, Sean, the next quest. I'm just going to jump on board. But then, the more I read about all this stuff, the more I'm thinking, you just
have to put it all to one side. Not important what they're doing.
Yeah, go on.
So Meta's VR division lost $14 billion in 2022. And so that was like a operating loss during that time, obviously. But then this was following. It was in October last year they released the Meta Quest Pro, and that didn't seem to stimulate things. But that's been cut in price now, right? They've done a price cut on that as well.
Yeah,
from what I heard.
£300 off.
Yeah, but during the last 12 months, Facebook's monthly average number of average active users grew by 2% like year on year. So that's better. And their daily
Facebook's
Facebook's like the app and all that kind of thing. More people are using that, and their daily users increased by 4%. So this is what Zuckerberg's got to say. He says the progress we're making on our AI discovery engine and Reels are major drivers. Beyond this, our management theme for 2023 is the year of efficiency, and we're focused on becoming a stronger and more nimble organisation.
Oh yeah.
So basically, sacking people.
Did you say it was irrelevant? I mean, did you say it was relevant, David?
Yeah, what's the Facebook got to do with
the
VR
company, Facebook. Meta is not just a VR thing. This is all of Meta and Facebook's.
Yeah, we're saying the story is Meta's VR division lost nearly 14 million, but Facebook's got more people on it.
But it's Facebook and Reels and all that are paying for Meta, aren't they?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
The whole thing.
It's Facebook's advertising.
I know, but a company is not going to have a branch of their company bleeding money and just say, well, overall,
it's exactly what's happening.
Overall, it's all right. So
that is exactly what this news story is about.
I was going to say, I mean, that's what's insane about this is that like any other game division losing 14 billion would be catastrophic, whereas actually in this case, that's basically the plan. Right? This is just.
But you see, you say that, but I don't think that like Facebook or Meta, whatever shareholders are probably going to be that pleased.
No,
if they keep posting these losses all the time.
For a long time. Yeah, but
I think if you didn't invested in,
they'll go. But that's 14 billion we could have had. Do you know what I mean?
And the golf's very good, but that's not really the point, Mark. It's not.
I mean, it's just I don't know, man. We all love VR, right? We all love it. But we look at Meta's vision and say, like, if that's what you're going for, we're nowhere near that. Like, we're nowhere near it. And if that's what you're focusing on, then you're kind of missing the point of what VR is right now.
Yeah, it's like the frustration is, loving the tech and the experience of using it and what it can do for games and just social stuff, etc., but not, between Meta and PlayStation, not really feeling like either of them is like a fully suitable steward for the tech. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel like either is a particularly safe pair of hands for VR.
I mean, this is what kills me because I think Sony can be. I think you look at the games that they developed for their PSVR, you go, holy shit, you got why this is so cool. And, you look at rescue mission, and you go, "Fuck, you nailed it, man!
Yeah.
You created a platforming game in VR that
that's
that
just
can't be done on anything else. You've nailed it."
Yeah.
And the problem is that you just know that Sony are going to follow the money, and the money's not there right now.
Yeah. That's just it. Like the games are brilliant. Like devs are doing the work and they're doing so much cool stuff. It just feels like the platforms aren't always acting in everyone's best interest. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
I mean, I think this whole thing, the year of efficiency, that doesn't sound good.
Sounds like job losses, doesn't it?
That does sound like sackings.
Yeah.
Like to me, like when they do that sort of thing, it's awful. It's
It's I can't wait. I'll be interested to look back in 5 years' time to see where. Like, I'd love to know where VR is in 5 years' time. Yeah. Like, are we looking at waves of VR over the next, say, 20, 30 years? Are we going to look at, where it was like back when we were kids and it was all that weird? You on those big machine things with the big coloured, visors or whatever, and then and then it goes away for a bit and then it shoots up again. And I mean, like recently, the Quest stuff, it's just so good. It was such a huge leap over what it was before. What's to say they can't make that leap again? And that's what technology does, right? It makes these huge steps forward and then plateaus. But when it plateaus, it usually sort of maintains that level of interest because it literally can't get any better until something major comes along.
It's funny, like it interests me that like we're now at a point where if we have like family over or whatever, like my Quest 2 is on my desk, no one's like, "Whoa, what the fuck is that?
What's that?" Yeah.
Like they all basically get it, but then I'm pretty sure if I asked any of them to try it, they'd be like, "No, thanks."
Was that?
There's a lot of people that have had a go and they've gone, "Well, I've had a go at that."
Yeah.
This is what's also so weird with this as well, like with Meta, because like Zuckerberg clearly, I think he thinks that this Mark Zuckerberg. I think he thinks that this whole thing is it's supposed to be the next like paradigm shift. The next.
And he might be right.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
I think he probably is right.
He might be 20 years too early.
But it's got to be. It has to be at the stage where, like you said, like anybody wants to buy this and everybody wants to use it in the same way that you do with a mobile phone.
Or a telly, or
a mobile exactly, phone. Yeah. I know I said that in a weird way. I know. As I said,
mobile phone.
Cell phone.
The thing is that when you look at what Microsoft showed off with HoloLens initially, that was the stuff that I was looking at and going, no, I can see that being mainstream. I never looked at VR. And I think ultimately VR and AR, I think a combination of the two is where things going to go. I think it's where it's going to go.
Yeah, and I mean, the Quest Pro, I mean, Matt will know more than me, but I gather the AR stuff in the Quest Pro is a lot more advanced. Like, it has, like, actual colour pass-through cameras. And
pass-through is amazing.
Yeah.
Really good.
So they are getting there.
About the Apple headset, the fact that you can instantly switch between AR and VR. I mean, AR feels like the totally mainstream play. VR is different experiences for that, but yeah.
I mean, what Meta need to do is that they need to find enthusiastic gamers that know this technology and send them the sort of pro headsets.
Send them free stuff,
to really
like podcasters, like grassroots. Yeah.
Grassroots podcasters that give VR the time of day.
Yeah, just send them loads of free, expensive kit.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah, that's great.
Money, maybe money as well.
Yeah, just send them money.
Just an actual truck of money.
PSVR. Yeah, they did a PSVR launch weekend thing. They said just they love VR. Why not ship some VR?
Untraceable cash money,
non-consecutive notes,
unmarked bills.
No,
$5 mil each. However many hosts there are. I don't know.
Fucking hell, you're losing 14 billion. You might as well lose an extra 20 mil.
Yeah, you're going to lose all that money. Give us some of it. Why is that? What's so hard about that?
Oh, do you know what? I love it if in next week's Full Nels crew we got Mark Zuckerberg.
Pledged $5 mil.
And the fullest Nels is
actually subscribed to Full Nels for the next 5,000 years.
I've seen the reviews.
Yeah,
I know what people think about it.
Have you tried it yet?
I've tried it. Yeah, I mean, it looks amazing. It's an incredibly premium device, but it's just basically the software isn't there for it right now. And even with the £30 reduction, yes, it's incredibly. It's like the new controllers are awesome. I think it looks cool anyway. So everything about it is good, but it's like there's no way you'd recommend anyone buying it because
it's meant to be
it's so
a
expensive.
work.
And also the battery life is terrible. It's like 2 hours.
Yeah, because it's meant to be like a viable like virtual workplace solution, isn't it?
And that's what Mark Zuckerberg's focused on, isn't he? Really, is the work thing rather than the games, and then. That's why the Pro exists.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If the battery life is that shit, get the batteries from the Apple tag things and stick them in there because they last for fucking years, isn't it? Years.
PlayStation Vita is the one, mate. PlayStation Vita, they never run out.
I looked at my manual for my Casio watch, Sean. It says the batteries last 4 years.
4, mate. Mine lasts for 10.
Yeah, I barely have to change my old batteries in H. Samuel when I have a Casio.
Oh, right. Get one of those in that Mark Zuckerberg.
Yep.
Right, let's...
Casio have solved all these problems already. You don't have to...
Yeah. They haven't solved fixing my watch, though, Sean. That has been 3 weeks now. No, 2 weeks
Casio now. A headset there.
Yeah, maybe they should. Right, James.
Okay, so EA has canned some projects. They've cancelled an unannounced single-player game that was supposed to be like Titanfall or in the Apex Legends universe.
What?
Apparently, it's not actually Titanfall.
Hold on. When have we started calling it the Apex Legends universe?
That's what they're calling it.
Yeah, but then when it was that's frustrating. That's pissing me off.
No, I know.
Because when Apex Legends launched, it was the Titanfall universe, wasn't it? EA. Yeah. You fucking bastards.
Yeah.
You absolute fucking bunch of bastards. The lot of you.
So the idea was that this would have been like a single-player campaign that would have been included in Apex Legends rather than like a standalone title. But then that's gone now. But they've also this week on this list of things that have been canned, we've got Apex Legends Mobile, Battlefield Mobile, Crime Site. I don't know what that is. Crossfire X, Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Diet of Heroes Bonds. I'm just reading out I'm just reading out the list that Matt sent me.
Okay. Timmy and the John
Echo VR, Knockout City.
Knockout City.
Yeah, that is a blow.
That's a sting. Well, we haven't played it for ages.
Well,
but
this is it. This always happens, doesn't it? We're like, oh, that's a shame. We played that once and loved it a year ago.
You know what's worse is when it's a magazine, a gaming mag. Yeah. Oh no, that's going. Yeah. When did you last buy it? When I was fucking 12. But this is interesting about Knockout City. They're keeping the game. They're modifying the game so you could set up private servers for it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, only on PC. But
please do that more.
Well,
please do that.
Yeah, it was really interesting because John Carmack said a bunch of stuff about what was it called? The VR one that's getting
Echo VR.
Echo VR,
yes, which is really good, by the way. Really surprised that that's going because I thought that was a success. Whether or not there's because the Meta bought the developer Ready at Dawn. Maybe there's secret plans for the future of Echo VR. I don't know. But yeah, it's worth finding if you look it up. Just John Carmack's take on what they could have done with it because it's just an interesting view from obviously a veteran software developer, engineer, whatever, I forget what he calls himself now. But just on how these things could be handled. It's just like an interesting overview of like the different ways these things can be solved. And yeah, the opening it up for players to basically host their own servers is one route. And
well, this is it. And peer-to-peer gaming used to be commonplace on the Xbox. And so you're telling me that a technology that worked quite well back on the Xbox and even the Xbox 360 is not possible now.
Exactly, and everyone's home broadband has only improved since
exactly.
So is the complexity of the games, but I think broadly speaking, we can all host things internet-wise that we couldn't have 10 years ago.
But
I'd like to see more of that.
These companies, they don't want you to play these games anymore anyway. That's
of course, which is what's so mind-blowing that the EA are allowing this to happen for Knockout City, right?
Well, presumably no one was playing it. It's like, or it's like low numbers were playing it, so they just thought it wasn't worth it. Yeah, I know. But then there's your point then, James, because you're saying, they don't want to do it because they don't want people playing it. They would only do this if people weren't playing it. But to be able to say, like, for example, Rainbow Six Vegas,
last year we turned around and went, let's have a couple of nights on Rainbow Six Vegas, and we could do that because that game is designed for peer-to-peer.
Yes, and that's why it still exists, because it's being kept alive by people who are still running it, basically.
I mean, there was 2 people online when we tried it,
but as soon as they stop playing, that service is done. Like Rainbow Six Vegas is finished because
I suppose the worry is
no. Whoa, what?
Okay, Rainbow Six Vegas and Rainbow Six Vegas 2 were shut down by Ubisoft. Like, they don't run servers for that anymore.
They never did.
No, I know, but they did, because they ran servers on like on PC and stuff like that as well for the service. Seriously, there was we did a whole news story about this and how they shut it down. So then what happened was they pulled support for it for Xbox, right? But you can still play it. It still is up and it's still online. But the reason it's up and still online is because there are people that are just still running it. They're just running it on Xboxes.
I thought that was a peer-to-peer game.
It may well have been, but then also, even if you have a peer-to-peer game, it still has to connect often with whatever company it is that you're making
a server somewhere.
There's usually like an authentication server or something that you have to like connect to.
Okay.
I suppose the issue that they might want to avoid is if you have an online game, you're killing the service, but you're allowing people to do their own servers or whatever. Say someone finds like a security exploit. Right, is there a liability issue there? I don't know if you can 100% completely wash your hands of it if you stop supporting a game like that. I honestly don't know.
So there's that, but then there's also Rainbow Six Vegas is a good example. Like if you're Ubisoft, you'd rather that people were not playing that anymore and they were playing Siege.
You'd rather move them on.
So why would you want to keep allow people to keep playing something that you want to push people onto your new thing?
But then when Vegas came out, no one was in the business of shutting down online games to move you on to the next one at that point. So maybe just it wasn't built with that in mind.
Not that quickly, no. It's still early doors, wasn't it? Yep. Okay.
Yes, I was on that list one here, James. Like Rumbleverse got cancelled.
Rumbleverse, apparently that's pretty good fun. I've not played it.
There's the big one as well that's been shut down, which is it's Love Live School Idol Festival.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's also being
not even the biggest said.
Yeah, I love that one.
Here's what's crazy. Like, is it harder to get a successful game out now?
It is if you're trying to do what everyone else is doing and doing a live service game.
That's the problem.
No, forget the live service game thing, because trends have been a thing in gaming for ages, right? And there's always been that mad rush to hit the trend, battle royale. There's always been a mad rush to hit the trend, and then there's been a fall off, and there's been a lot of unsuccessful games that have tried to follow that trend. So that's been a common thing. What I'm saying is that I think we're in an age now where people are playing games for longer. That I think games are sticking around longer than they used to, or at least there are more games that stick around longer than they used to. But I don't think. I find it fascinating that there's a game called Vampire Survivors that has absolutely fucking blown the industry to pieces with this very simple game that's clearly been quite successful for the developers. You've got Fall Guys, which did really well, that sort of come out of nowhere. And again, so I'm not saying it's impossible to bring out a new successful game. What I'm saying is it harder now than it used to be? Because I think it must be, right?
I'm sure it is, but also it depends on how you measure success as well. Like, do you mean like it blowing up and everyone's playing it, or
no? I mean one that's sustainable. I mean, you look at Rumbleverse. That came out last year, right? The Shutter in that
recently, yeah.
Yep.
You look at like take Knockout City for example. We all played it. You could all see how brilliant it was. We regularly get comments saying, why can't we have something that feels fresh, something that feels new? It makes you laugh. Sometimes you see people say, I really want something, different. That's not just a shoot you bang bang game. That's not a battle royale. Or that's Knockout City comes out and no one gave a shit and now it's shuttered. You see people go, "Oh, what's happened to arcade racers? You know, I want something fresh with racing games, something new." Onrush comes out, it's brilliant. No one played it. They fucking got rid of it. It's like I find it absolutely mad how hard it is for some games to break through, and yet I don't think it's impossible, because, as I said, there have been games that have come out recently that have blown things apart. But I think it might be harder.
I think it's definitely harder. You know, people have less time. You know, there's more social networks, more this, more that, and also larger games like Fortnite or Destiny. When a new live service game comes out, it not only has to be amazing, it has to be so amazing that you stop playing the game you've maybe put 10 or 15 years into.
Yeah.
And that's why, you don't see as many MMOs released these days, because what's the point? WoW's there. We've had the odd one here and there, and there was a massive spate when the trend first came about, and now there's no point. Like, you have games like Fortnite, Rocket League. I mean, like Fall Guys to a certain extent, like these big games that people, Destiny, that spend, it feels like a full-time job in like the best way sometimes. I mean, we've all been really heavily into Destiny at points where that's all you want to play. But then when you've got, Warzone and COD, like, it's really hard, I think, for other games to not just be good, but be so good you stop and change your habits. I mean, things like Vampire Survivors comes out because that was such a surprise. That didn't say, here's a battle pass, you need to change all your gaming habits. You could play that kind of on the side. It didn't have to necessarily get away the main larger games.
But we know that the battle pass isn't the problem. That's what I'm saying. There doesn't seem to be, the battle pass wasn't the problem. Right, so people didn't play that game because it didn't have those things. Do you know?
It's games that demand all a lot or all of your time, and where there's always already these games that have done that so well for so long. Your friends.
There needs to be another paradigm shift, like basically for that.
There needs a new big thing, right?
Yeah, and there hasn't been. Like, I mean, what was the last big thing? Was Battle Royale, right? What was it that's since then really?
Yeah,
that's been like a thing that everyone's emulating, everyone's copying, everyone's bringing one out.
Even like non-battle royale games have battle passes. It's like that's not something again. It's trying to get you on that grind, on that ladder.
Yeah, but that's stuff I haven't got a problem with that.
Non-shooters have battle passes now. Yeah.
So that's something that's permeated all genres. But but we're not even at the end of the battle royale, like kind of or live service kind of theme or trend, because we've heard that Sony have got like 10 or 15 games in development.
Well,
all these maybe getting cancelled, but there's still lots more to come. So we're going to see a lot of this, I think.
That's true. We're not at the end of like the battle pass thing yet, until we are, and because something else comes out.
I don't think we are going to be at the end of the battle pass thing. I don't see the battle pass thing as the phase. I don't see that as the thing. I think that is something that, like with all these, things.
No, but this is all about how it's monetized.
Battle Royale. Hold on. Battle Royale took things from previously big, trends, and brought it forward with them. Looters, for example, a lot of that came forward with Battle Royale, and I can see battle passes coming forward. That's fine. I haven't got a problem with that. We've got it in Rocket League, and
FIFA.
FIFA. All that stuff is great, but so I don't see that as the trend. I see the live service stuff as the trend at the moment.
No, but it's the method of monetizing that, though, isn't it? And the method of monetizing the live service at the moment is through battle passes, right? That's how it's done.
Exactly. And that's
what I'm saying. The innovation will be if there's another way of monetizing this that isn't the battle pass.
No, see, I don't think it is. I think the innovation needs
of this.
No, it's not the end point. I think the actual game itself needs to evolve, not the system and how you monetize it. Because I don't know, because I think a lot of this is about how things are monetized. Like if you look at the big shifts that there's been over the years, there was MMOs, and that was like a monthly subscription, system. Everyone wanted to get in on that because it was a monthly guaranteed subscription. That's why they went for it. Now the reason that people are all trying to like shift live service games is because of the recurring revenue they get through battle passes. That's why these things move. No, but James, what I'm saying is that what I'm saying, forget that. What I'm saying is that as gamers, people are not tired of this certain type of game because of the way it's being monetized. They're tired of it because they're bored of the formula. So once the formula changes, we know the Battle Pass works as a way of monetizing games. They'll find a new formula and use the stuff that works from the previous trends.
I don't think they bored the formula. I think if we can kind of credit to social networks, I don't think a new one might come out, but we're so used to things like Twitter. It doesn't matter if another social network or another game does things slightly better in some regards or this or that. You've spent all your time here. You're invested literal money as well as your time and your levels and your character, whatever. If another live service game comes out, it has to do so much more. It's not just about the battle pass or the monetization. You have to do so much more to actually take your time away from the thing you're doing already. And as I said at the beginning, people have less time with
that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what a new game needs to come out and say, no, this is very different to play. This is a very different thing.
Move over.
Right, and this is why you should move over. And that thing is not going to be that thing to convince people to move over is not going to be. We're not going to put Battle Pass on it. Like that's not going to be the thing that's going to convince people to move over. They're going to say, I don't know, look at this. This is a different type of game. Everyone's into it. Everyone moves over. It'll still have that shit on it because that's a good way of monetizing games.
See, I agree with you to a degree with this, but what I'm saying is that the whole idea of like free to play, and if getting people in was a massive shift, and to moving people into playing certain games. It was a huge deal with that. And then when they then figured out how to make money off that through these, through like live services, that's when everyone started making them. That was the thing. And I think like now it's very difficult for anybody to get on that because, as we've said, it's so crowded. There's so many, sort of.
I think like what interests and saddens me. So you look at something like Knockout City, and I play that for an evening and go, holy shit, this feels like something for me because I don't really have time for shooters. I'm not very good at them. But then long term, it's like, oh, I only have the amount of time for Knockout City that I have for Fortnite. I.e., very little, right? So it's sad that by aiming something like a multiplayer action game like that's has some sort of shooter-ish elements, you're still throwing stuff at people. But yeah, by doing something like that, it's like, hey, this is for people who haven't really got the time for shooters. And the reality is that actually they haven't got time for your game either because they just haven't got that amount of time,
Yeah, but I think a lot of that is due to the problem with something like Knockout City is that you're not convincing one person to play this and put your time into it. You're trying to convince a group of gamers
and
to
all
play.
their mates.
And so like I would have played. God knows, I'd still be playing it now if all my mates were playing it because I love the game. There was nothing wrong with the game. It's just,
I mean, we should have like a farewell session, right? Because go on, sorry.
If this game, right? Okay, so Knockout City, right? If this had come out and they'd released it at like a regular price, like say I don't know, like 40 quid, 50 quid or whatever, right? And then
bought it.
But then if everybody had bought it. And then, like, if a smaller number of people have bought it, but then it like develops like a community and everything, rather than it being based on the live services model where they need like scale, they need a huge number of people to play this so that it makes it financially viable. Isn't there still a market here for like for selling the game to people, even though it's a smaller number of people?
No one would have bought it. Though,
I think the counter to that is that because it was different, I think it would have been seen like no one would have bought it because it would have seemed like too big a risk.
Yeah, it's a race to the bottom. You look at get people in to make it free. Like, okay, it's tough enough getting new people into new games as it is, and then if you're saying actually it's 40 quid to get in versus the other games that are free to play, it's like
it wasn't free, was it? Was it free? It wasn't free.
Was it on Game Pass?
It was on Game Pass, and that's why people pay. I don't think
there was like was it like the first week I think was like free on all platforms.
That's right.
And then it was just on Game Pass after that. So
then it was on Game Pass, but I think if you wanted it, I
think it was only like 25 quid or something. But
it was cheap, but it wasn't free. I think I think it's easy to turn around and say games should be like this. I'm sick and I'm bored of games and they need to be like this.
Yeah.
But clearly you cannot expect companies to invest in something this different if we've got so many examples of it not working, and we've got so many examples of their investment failing. They're not going to invest in that stuff anymore. But I think you're right. I think we're at a point now where it feels like there needs to be a new trend. And what that is, I would never know because that's not how trends work. Trends come out of nowhere and you go, fucking hell, who thought of this? What a great idea. Do you know what I mean? That's how it works. And so whether we're on the cusp of something, I don't know. And of course, there's people going to be emailing in all week. I know you will be saying things like, yeah, but what about Elden Ring, right? That was a success. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. But that didn't change the industry, right? Am I right? Like,
I mean, arguably Dark Souls did.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's... Yeah, I know what you mean.
But
I think it tried to.
I wouldn't say about it not changing the industry either, because I think you're going to find over the next 5 years there's going to be a lot of games that are going to look like Elden Ring are going to start coming out.
I don't know how many developers could even begin to
whether they
replicate
can
the scale of it.
not.
Like there's been
loads
of Souls.
No, they won't. I mean, how many games have tried
right.
to do the Dark Souls thing and they haven't nailed it?
Exactly.
But also,
So-
James,
Exactly,
like,
but they still will try.
there's a difference between influencing and then changing things like, say, Fortnite and PUBG did. Like, you could see a definitive, holy shit, they changed the game, right?
But you see, I'd say Dark Souls did that as well. I'd say that Breath of the Wild did that as well, like in terms of like game design.
I think they changed things in game design. I don't think they had a bigger impact on which way the industry went than Fortnite and PUBG.
I don't know.
I think they're two different things. I don't think there's one successful formula. I think there's things that make huge impacts, and there's ones that influence other games in different ways, right? And I'm specifically talking about those massive changes, those GoldenEyes, right? Those Halos, those games the games that introduced online multiplayer shooting.
Games like GTA,
Call of Duty, GTA. You know, I'm talking about those games. And yes, Breath of the Wild. Oh my god, it's my favorite game of all time. But what that will do is put elements into how third-person action open-world games have changed, right? And of course, it was massively influential, totally understandable. Fortnite changed things in so many different ways, like on such a bigger scale. I'm not saying it's more important because it isn't to me. I don't like Fortnite. I don't play Fortnite. I'm not a big fan of battle royales. But what I'm talking about is that what's the next big thing? I don't know. I don't know.
Sort of surprised. If you'd asked me a year ago, or maybe longer than that, I would have said Among Us was probably the beginning of a sea change, but that hasn't really. I mean, there's been others, but then there were others like sort of social deduction games like that before Among Us. It's just for some reason Among Us got this traction that it did like a year after it came out. So I like that felt like it could have been sort of the beginning of a new wave. But I don't know, it hasn't quite. Like Among Us is still where it was, and like the VR version is apparently incredible and selling really well. But it hasn't been on the level of like your battle royales, has it? I don't think.
I wonder if that's the next thing. I wonder if it's very simple games that.
Yeah.
It's very simple, clever games that anyone can just fucking be a part of.
Yeah, because you can make a case that actually Vampire Survivors, right, is to look at very simple. Like there's some crossover there between something like that and Among Us, right, which is replicating things from bigger, more expensive games, but actually in this quite reduced way, but in a way that's still really satisfying and makes sense, But,
it's interesting to know where things go because
okay.
Well,
I think. Sorry, the reason why we went into that big discussion, where my head was at when we talked, is that there's a lot of layoffs going on at the moment, and there's a lot of games being canned, and I think there's a lot of companies looking at how they're doing business at the moment and going, we need to find that next big thing. We need to not follow the trends that we've been following for the past 5 years.
But that's what's even more interesting, that Sony say they've got 10, 15 plus live service games.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like Sony seem to. Well, the statements they've made recently is very much we're going to be following this live service thing, and you go, is that going to work out for them?
Well, I mean,
that sort of
their money and
that makes sense for Sony because that is something that is missing from their catalog. Same reason as it would make sense if Microsoft were we're going to do more AAA narrative heavy stuff. For the same reason, but I don't know.
And they probably, I mean, Sony probably figure out that they only need like 1 or 2 of those to hit, and then
that's why they'll do 15.
Oh, fucking hell! Well, they need 1. If 1 hits, well, that'd be huge for them, right?
Yeah. I suppose, like, what right. I mean, we'll probably never know, but I guess what would upset me is if it turned out that, like, Knockout City was actually making a bit of money, but not enough to make it, to keep it on the books. Do you know what I mean? Like, is the threshold like profit or loss, or is it just an amount of profit and actually it needs to be more than that? So we're getting rid. Do you know what I mean? But who knows?
What we've seen from things over the last couple of years, it seems that it probably is the case that it wasn't making all of the money. Because that seems to be the thing that's the main focus.
Because they're like, well, it's making some, but actually, if we put the resources we're putting into that into something else, that could make more.
Yeah, because like the Carmack thing talking about Echo VR is saying like. He's like, it's not that hard to keep like a skeleton staff on. Like in the grand scheme of things, it costs nothing to do that. To just make sure that a game is basically supported, and people can keep on playing it. Is actually you can do that really cheaply.
But why would you want to do that if you're pushing people to?
This is it.
Making,
yeah.
It's the.
Yeah. Right,
which
James,
is horrible.
That chair, mate.
I know.
Yeah, I can't wait for this edit.
It's actually not the chair; it's the desk. It's like.
Yeah, do it again. Thanks.
There you go.
keep going. Just go like that. Go like that. Make it sound like. Go on.
Hang on. There you go. It's really irritating.
Not as irritating as it will be for the listeners.
Anyway, so this is actually following on from last week, because last week we talked about what was happening at 343, and it seems that Microsoft has cut at least 95 people from Halo. From 343, and according to Bloomberg, this includes like people like top directors and contractors, but also temporary staff members who were just let go, like terminated with just a few days warning, which is shit.
It's got practice, isn't it?
Yeah, and now apparently all there is there's a main development team that's working on multiplayer component of Infinite, and then. Yeah, the slipspace engine that they were using to make Infinite is being dumped now, and then they're going over to Unreal. And there's now a new Halo project that's codenamed Tatanka. So yeah, that's happening apparently.
Yeah, but it looks like David was reporting all sorts of stuff, right? That and one of them being they're pretty much scrapping everything they had and starting again, right?
So you were right, David. I didn't think they'd do this because I just think it's a bit stupid, but then I guess
someone clip that. I'm going to put that on a loop.
They're moving to Unreal makes total sense because it seems like there's been issues with them working this engine for a long time. Things take a lot longer. Work. I mean, I think the days of a kind of proprietary engines are getting to the point where it's getting over. Like, well, why would you do it? It's harder to get new staff in, longer to train them up. If you bring in a new something like Unreal Engine or Unity or whatever these other ones are, there's so many more resources, so much more talent out there to get things done quickly. Whereas, yes, you may have your own proprietary engine, which is perfect for the game you're making, but in terms of quickly making moves or improvements or changes or increasing the size of the business must be more difficult. So I think it makes sense to move to Unreal. That hopefully will make things quicker in future. I mean, I'm kind of blown away that they're starting again. Although, again, given all the stuff we've said and whatnot over the last few months, I guess it makes sense. That
I said.
Wow.
All the stuff I sell, DVT.
Collectively said it on the podcast.
Nailed it again.
I still think this is a massive shame. That Halo Infinite was something they could have built on. It's just a shame.
Yeah,
they couldn't have.
It does make you wonder if this.
They just couldn't. They didn't.
Yeah, like Matt says, it does make you wonder if this was like a Destiny 1 situation, right? The problems we've seen with Halo Infinite and the seeming, sort of lack of support or just momentum. Is it because the engine was a fucking nightmare to work with? Because that was what came out that was I don't know if that was ever confirmed actually, or was that part of that big leak that we never knew if it was real or not? But basically, the guy saying it takes you like a fucking hour to just load up the engine if you want to change, if you want to move a box 2 feet.
You'll do something overnight.
And that was why Destiny 1 was as sort of difficult as it was. So maybe the engine switch is probably the right move for Infinite. Who knows?
Do you know we're having a rubbish run at the moment, because I just saw like Jason Schreier saying that do you remember Midnight Suns?
Yeah,
that came out recently. Apparently, that's been a commercial flop. And
I am not
hasn't done very well.
surprised
Yeah, not surprised at all.
Because that's one that. So I really like what I've played of it. I think the story stuff is absolutely naff, which seems like a strange ball to drop when you're making a Marvel game. Like, not saying like all the work's done for you. I don't know. I feel like there's a template for you to work with there and do interesting things with, but I don't know. It doesn't really land. Anyway, that has loads of like weird monetization stuff. Like the fact that it's like, oh hey, it's like a weird sort of card-based strategy game. Do you want the deluxe edition for 90 quid? Like, no. I'm like, it just, I don't know. Like, I get it's a Marvel game and it's a big property, but yeah, it was like they really went in on the like, oh, if you buy this version, you get a different skin for this one. Like, I don't know, like Doctor Strange or whatever. And I'm like, that's not this isn't the sort of game I'm interested in. That shit. And it's full of microtransactions and stuff. It's very strange, very strange game to put that stuff in.
And I was looking at Halo Infinite. It got announced at E3 2018. We're 5 years down the line, and it's apart from the fact that the game was good, excellent, I would say, it's basically been a disaster from start to finish. Like, what a kind of cursed project. It's really sad. All that work, all that effort, all that money, all that everything went into it, and it's just like started off bad with Craig, and now we got this kind of ending. It's like,
yeah.
I really genuinely think
Craig.
But that's what's so painful is they redeemed it from the Craig shit. Like they got through that.
They did.
And then it went downhill again.
Yeah.
I really think, given this, I think the next one will just be a standard single player Halo like we've always known, with the multiplayer, obviously.
James,
yes.
What year is it coming out?
What, the next Halo?
The next Halo.
What are we in now? What is it? Is it 2023 now, right?
Is it?
2023. That's right.
I think something will come out end of 2024.
Oh, what? No way.
Wow.
Right.
End of next year. Okay, all right. Okay, now there's the big question. Title, please, James.
Oh, man.
Halo goes to the ocean.
Let me think about it. I think they'll riff on the original Combat Evolved somehow.
I like it.
Halo Evolution. There you go.
I mean, so we had Halo Infinite, which is pretty, conclusive.
I mean, to be fair, if they announced Halo Evolution, that sounds right.
And James, are we saying a full remake of the first one or a totally new reboot?
No.
Totally new game.
They can't do a remake of the first one.
I think the next one will just be called Halo. Like,
do you reckon?
No code.
Go back to,
How many games have you fucking said
say that about everything, man?
He really does, doesn't he?
Have I what? Name another one.
They'll just call it Destiny.
Just call it Destiny.
That does make sense, though.
Just call
that
it
makes sense
Forza Horizon. Just call it.
No, what else? Other
Call of Duty.
Just call it Resident Evil.
Shut the fuck up. Other than Destiny, which makes sense.
Just call it Metal Gear Solid.
I've never said that about Metal Gear. Destiny makes total sense. They should rebrand it to Destiny. No one
call it Sonic.
Well, I guess
call it
Mario.
I'll do that. No,
I think Metroid. Yeah, just call it.
Call it normal.
Should we do the next story because we seem to be losing our minds, and it's fucking. We're an hour and a half in. We've not even got to what you've been playing.
This is the last story. It's really short. There might be a Nintendo Direct this week. I think.
Come on.
Now,
this is
people
called...
been like, oh, insider information, unconfirmed sources, guys. But apparently, it's like, haven't they done this every year?
Yeah. It's the insider source is Jeff Grubb.
Oh right, okay.
So
it's definitely
he's heard that there's a showcase planned for the week beginning this week.
Cool.
Jeff Grubb and Michael Pachter, who wins a fight?
My money's
You'd watch it, wouldn't you? You'd fucking watch it.
I reckon Pachter would pull a knife halfway through.
Do you know what? I reckon it would be one of those ones that. Have you seen the ones in the barn where they've got like hay up as the ring? Like, they've got like yeah,
don't go
bales
to
of
those
hay
sorts of
around
events.
as a ring. And, oh my god, no, I don't go to them. I watch them on YouTube. I'll watch that. I'd watch that. All right, so there might be a direct.
They're throwing haymakers. Yeah, by the time this pod's out, you may already know about the direct.
Yep.
Maybe it's on Wednesday. Who knows?
Yep.
They're going to announce it 2 seconds after we start.
Yeah.
Stop
In
recording.
fact, yeah. Well, when we're about to end the show, let's just wait 10 minutes, and then we're like, and here we go, breaking news.
Okay. All right. Is that the news?
Yeah, that's the news. Yeah.
Let's get to what we've been playing. I'm going to start. with Forspoken.
Oh yeah, is it good?
Spoke about it. I Forspoken about it last week.
Did speak about it,
and I completed it this week. Do you know what? Right, I come away from Forspoken saying I really hope that Square Enix never do anything again with this, and that a company comes along and goes, "We'll have it," and because genuinely. I finished that game and I carried on playing it because I liked the world. The world building was excellent. The setup, the idea around everything works really well. And do you know what? I even ended up liking Frey. I thought she was a good character.
I thought you were going to say end up liking Cuff then. I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah, how was Cuff? How did you feel about Cuff by the end?
I mean,
I don't think we can get into that, right?
There's oh my god, Sean. There's something I want to tell you.
I know,
about nothing about Cuff,
but
there's something. There's no need to call me that. There's something I so want to tell you about a choice that happens. But imagine there being a big choice. Imagine there being a big choice in the game. I can say this. Yeah. Imagine there being a big choice in the game, and if you choose one of the choices, there's about an hour and a half worth of gameplay left. But if you choose the other one, there's a 2-second cutscene that then the credits roll.
That sounds about right, because that's what Dragon's Dogma does several times, in fact. So
that's what this does.
I can see that.
That's what this does. But I've got to send you it. I've got to send you the ending to the other one, Sean, because I bet Dragon's Dogma doesn't end it like this. I was like, imagine, basically. I'm sorry if this is a spoiler, but basically, imagine if there was like, I'm trying to think of a really good example, but let's say a Halo game where there's the last mission where you fight the big bad guy at the end, but if you turn around and just walk off, that's it.
That is, that also sounds very Dragon's Dogma, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah. That's the kind of freedom that people loved about Elden Ring.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I did carry on playing it after the credits rolled, and I stand by the combat. The combat was really cool. Some of the magic in it was just so well thought out and feels really cool to use, and by the end of it you feel so powerful. But I think why I said I want it to be picked up is because this feels like an origin story for a character, right? And it worked, and by the end of it I thought, no, this character's gone through an arc and they found their place, right? And this works. Unless you pick the other option, and you think, okay, this is good. What happens now if some sort of outside force attacks this world that you've built up?
Right.
I'd love to see that. I would love to see where that goes, because I think it's interesting enough to sustain further stories. I can't see that happening. I don't think this will ever happen. I think Forspoken will never be addressed again. It will never go into it again. And I think that's kind of sad, because I think, yes, there's so much wrong with it that I if someone goes, should I play that game? I'll go, no. But there's something there where you go, fuck, that's a seed and that's planted now. But that shit's never going to grow. And that's kind of sad. So I kind of wish, I do kind of wish someone would come along and go, oh, we'll buy that and we'll turn that into one of the most epic things you've ever seen in your life.
Because it's not even. It's an internal studio, isn't it? It's Luminous.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
It's dead.
So
it's dead. Because why would they sell it?
Yeah.
Why would they sell that? They wouldn't, would they? They'd rather just put it in the bin now. Well, they're not going to make money for other people. It's a shame. But Forspoken, that was that done. I can do my other two really quickly. GoldenEye 007 is still brilliant. It's still brilliant. I mean, I don't know if I said this last week, but can we just get the same thing for Time Splitters now? Just go through those games. It's just. Although it does, it's been funny. I forgot how much of that game that you had to look at a guide for. So, you know the statue. Do you remember the statue level? With,
I do know.
When you're outside.
You're outside, and you walk along. It's the first time it really tries wild stuff, and you meet. Is it Robbie Coltrane? Is in that film?
It is. Yeah. It's yeah.
You meet him.
It's Valentine something.
Yeah, Valentine. You meet him in a storage container.
Yeah.
And he sort of comes up to your face and tells you, "Oh, strange time, James," and all this. Then you go to the statue to meet the big reveal of who the villain is. He's actually 006 or whatever he was in the film. Yeah. And then spoilers. And then and then he says, "Oh, put the gun away, James." So you have to put the gun away. And that was like, whoa, holy shit. He knows if I've got my gun out or not. That's mad. But there's a bit at the end where, so you the idea is there's a time limit. You've got 2 minutes to get back to the start of the level. And when you get there, Natalia is passed out next to a helicopter, which has been rigged to explode, right? So she wakes up when you get there, thankfully, and then walks follows you for a bit. So this is what happened. So she followed me, and then the thing blew up, and then I had to find the recorder box. No, that was it. I thought, you have to find the recorder box. So I ran down the hill, found it, walked back up, realised she wasn't with me anymore. She'd been held by gunpoint next to the gate. So I just started shooting, and she died, and I found. I was like, I've got to do that whole thing again. Okay. Run down there, find the storage container, talk to Rob going, go out to the statue, put my gun away, talk to those guys, pull it out, got 2 minutes, get back to the helicopter, fine. This time, I'm going to wait with her by the gate, so when the people show up, I can shoot them. They didn't arrive. Okay, this is weird. All right, so go back down the hill, get the recorder, go back up. Oh, she's being held at gunpoint. Shoot them. No, she's dead. Right. Okay. I've got to do it again. Okay. Lawn thing. Go along there, get to the storage container. Robbie Coltrane's there, who's talked to you for a bit. Goes to the statue, put the gun away. He's talk to me. Got 2 minutes, get back to the helicopter. Natalia's on the floor. Go ahead. This time, I won't walk back to the gates with her. I'll walk down the hill with her to get the flight recorder, then get back, shoot the people that are there, get me. Turn around, she's not there. Get back, she's shot. I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do then? What the fuck? I looked it up. You just walk back to the gates without a gun out, and then they arrest you. But the objective is escape with Natalia.
Right.
That's what it said.
Yeah.
But you don't. You just walk. And I was like,
arrested,
oh yeah, games were fucked back then, weren't they? You've made me do that. If that was to happen in a modern day game, there'd be a checkpoint as you were reaching the helicopter. Fine, don't mind that. In this, fucking hell, there's no indication that you're supposed to do that. So yeah, the further you get into the game, the more bullshit there is. But as I said, I've been playing it in front of Harry, and you know the game well, right, James?
Yeah.
What's the really cool thing to do at the start of the train level? Remember?
He's looking it up.
That's with the watch, right?
No. Yeah, that was cool. That was at the end where you got sort of break the little hatch or whatever. But no, at the start of the when you play Mario 64, the first thing you do is go to that tree, climb to the top, and get the extra life.
Yeah.
On that one, on the train level, there's 2 boxes at the end of the carriage. You shoot them, and then you get the RCP-90, which I don't know about you guys. But me and my mates used to call it the Sharky because it was white at the bottom and it had the black at the top. So it was have you got the Sharky? Have you got the Sharky? And then I told the kids that, and then they were like, oh, get the Sharky again. Shoot that thing. It's and then, like everything just dies in front of you. What,
Love
like
that.
one of the best guns in any game.
Dual wielding those.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm loving every second of it. I really am, and the kids are loving it as well. So yeah, GoldenEye on the Xbox specifically, just do a run through it because the amount of nostalgia I'm getting from playing it is just so good. So that was that, and then just a brief mention for Powerwash Simulator because I'm streaming that at the moment. I'm 52% done on the mansion. Little bit disappointed, I think.
Oh, really?
Because it's just one side of the mansion, and you can't go in, and you can't. Yeah, that's kind of it. It's sort of. I'm not getting the Tomb Raider reference at all, really. But maybe there's more. Maybe there's more. I think there's 2 levels. One of them's like one of them's like a truck, and the other one is the mansion. The mansion is very.
You should be cleaning a dirty T-Rex. No.
Oh yeah, I'd hope so. I'm
It's a
sure
lot
I'd
better.
seen that in the trailer, so maybe I am missing something. Oh, you unlock more. Someone just said in the chat you unlock more. Good.
A
Thank
dirty
you.
T-Rex.
Yeah, filthy T-Rex.
Yeah.
She's
Just to wash all its bum and stuff.
dirty Lara.
Dirty T.
Filthy Lara. Also, they've announced that they're doing a Final Fantasy. What, Sean? Come on.
No, nothing.
Grow up.
I will not.
They're also doing Final Fantasy DLC.
Oh, wow.
You
Okay.
can wash the bike.
We cannot be far away from Only Fools and Horses, right?
I
That's
think
got
we're
to
as
be
far
Requiem.
away now
Yeah,
as
I
we
think
always
that
have
is the
been.
Very far away from
That's
it.
your next step, isn't it? It's like Lara
Why are you
Croft.
always shitting on my dreams, James? Such a
Somebody has to.
No, they don't. No,
Yeah.
no, they don't have to.
Utterly unnecessary.
Anyway, that's what I've been playing this week. Matt, you've been back on Hi-Fi Rush, right? This
Yeah,
is my
I
next
haven't-
game. This is the game I'm going to play this week, I promise.
I haven't had much time to play this week, but I did play a little bit more. I think I'm again like last time I was near the boss of 2. Now I'm near the boss of 3. I hadn't played, and I was like, maybe the time has passed for me. I know I see a lot of people saying it's really good still, and I was like, I don't know if I really got the energy, but I put it on because I wanted to play something. And no, I really, really enjoyed myself. So I know I just have to just put the time in and play it, and I know I have a rip-roaring time. But I was like before, can I be bothered? But no, it obviously feels great and is a joy to play. So haven't played as much as I'd like, sadly. But even like the changes I've got now in the 3rd level, where you're getting more characters. Where you are getting more abilities to upgrade is really, really useful. So no, I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm sure by the end, James, you must have had like absolutely tons of abilities, tons of characters, tons of all sorts to upgrade.
Yeah, there's there's like 3 or 4 extra characters that you can call on like while you're playing, and then also you can upgrade all of their abilities as well. And it's I mean I didn't do that for all of them obviously because I didn't 100% it, but it gets much more complex as it goes on, but in a very manageable way. Like you don't have to do like a lot of that.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So in terms of all the upgrades, like I had like 120,000 of the currency, and I'd basically bought loads for me and at the time Peppermint. Peppermint? I think it's Peppermint, yeah. But like, did you find so much like essential that you upgraded, or were you just like picking and choosing based on the playstyle you wanted?
I mostly went with just the standard upgrades, and I didn't really use the specials that much. Actually, I mostly went with just the standard moveset. For all of those.
The special upgrade for Peppermint were awesome. When it's like, okay, when you get, was it like a beat hit, and if you press RT instead, then she does like a big shot of a gun, or if you do a RT on a beat hit, whether it's a ground combo or air combo, you do different moves, and I thought they were really useful because I did them way more like a standard beat hit in a combo. So I thought that stuff was really, really good.
There was that, and then also like health I upgraded a lot because it starts to get much more difficult as the game goes on, and so I'd spend a lot.
Oh
on
god,
health.
I'm so into this. I cannot wait to play this game. I'm going to start again. I know I did the first level, but I'm going to start again just to like get back in the flow.
See, I'm not worried, but like I feel like it's something I want to like pace it out a bit because I don't want to run out of it too soon.
You can't do that. It feels like a game that you have to. It's like could you imagine playing a Wendan in chunks?
Yeah,
that's true.
You see, this I just got completely absorbed into it, and then I just hammered it for the entire weekend because I felt also like towards the end, like you really do need to have like skill.
I was going to say, because my other worry was that if by spreading it out, am I just going to like start every session just being like, right, what's the
what do I do
again?
What are the controls?
Yeah,
that's why I want to start again because I don't want to be in that situation when I boot up again. You know?
You don't want to be like me playing Hitman, basically.
Speaking of which,
blimey, James, what happened there?
James. Hold on, I want to commend James. I want to commend James. So. James streamed Hitman World of Assassination this week. And I don't know, I mean, we all watched James stream Hitman 3, right? It was a complete fucking mess. He just didn't give a shit. That whole beautifully crafted level that was basically Knives Out, right? James just ignored all that, just ran out, killed them all, and then got back out again, right? Like, it was just the most ridiculous
Completed the objective.
I know you did. But all
did
that
the fucking
time
job, didn't I?
yeah. This time, James actually set a trap and put some thought into it, and it fucking worked.
Yeah,
I was proud of.
To be fair, that was good.
I mean, you also did stick a screwdriver into an electrical socket and kill yourself. But...
It was the fact that. I understand forgetting the buttons and stuff. It just felt like there was a good 20 minutes at the start of that stream where it was like you'd forgotten what the entire concept was.
Yes,
you were just running around, just well, it says I've got to kill him, but there's people everywhere. So how was I supposed to do that? And then just run off somewhere else. Oh, why is everyone suspicious of me? Because you're sprinting around this.
It's true. I had kind of forgotten, honestly, how the things worked. And
my favourite was that one of his targets was walking around with 3 bodyguards, and he walked from one room to another, and James is just following him, and then he goes into another room, and he just goes, right, he's in another room now, kills him, right, and then looks around, and there are hundreds of people just looking at him doing it, and he went, yeah, that hasn't worked, let's reload that.
No, it's because I went round the corner and it was kind of dark, and I thought maybe I'm in a secluded spot.
Yeah,
so I did the strangling.
Really light and dark stuff. So it's not like Splinter Cell where certain areas are basically invisible. Yeah, it doesn't really monitor that stuff. But no, it made me laugh because I said I wanted you to stream the freelancer mode, but then I'd forgotten there's loads. Well, you hadn't seen any of Hitman 1 and 2, had you? So fair enough. Yeah. But I think when you do move on to freelancer mode, I think you'll enjoy it because that's kind of how you're supposed to play it, because you're not really following those story the setup. Opportunities for the hits and stuff. It is just about that sort of improvisation. So I do think you'll really enjoy it when you get round to it. But
right, it was great though. I really enjoyed it. That whole thing with the electrocution. I mean, okay, I did mess up the first time around, but when I pulled it off, it was brilliant. You're standing there and it's he gets electrocuted, and you're like, oh, that was great. And then there was that and the other bit.
The second one though, you did go straight back up the stairs and try and kill everyone.
Sometimes I do that because I want to sometimes I just want to see how it works. What's going to happen. But I was also when I picked up that letter opener and then I walked, and then I thought that's the target. Walked up to this woman and just stabbed her in the neck and thought I was done with it. And then it was just it's an innocent person. Unfortunate.
Unbelievable.
It's so good. I mean, I watched that stream this morning. I was fucking wetting myself watching it.
It was amazing.
A very good game.
Yeah. It is a very good game. Sean, you played much more of it?
Yes, it's basically the only thing I played this week. I've started a few other games, but nothing worth talking about yet. But just been playing more of the freelancer stuff. One thing I was very wrong about last week. I was saying when you pick which syndicate you want to take on, and there's all they're all different types of criminal, right? So what I hadn't clocked was that that dictates the sort of bonus objectives you get. So if you go for an arms dealer, it's right, your bonus objectives are machine gun kills, explosions, grenades, all the rest of it. Whereas if you go for if you're a big farmer, as in PHARMA, not tilling the soil.
Not
yeah. It's all it's syringes, sedatives, stuff like that. So that's that affects that. But yeah, it's just so fucking funny. Like just today, I was playing. It's the New York level, which is in a bank, massive bank, and there was like 3 people outside this public toilet, and I needed the disguise from one of them, and I had a suitcase with like a submachine gun in it. So just go into the toilet, turn the tap on, round the corner, but then the wrong person comes to investigate the tap, and I'm just like, fuck's sake. So I'm just stood behind him, wait till they go up to the tap, bang over the head with the suitcase, chuck him in like a laundry basket, right, tap on again, fucking hell, it's the wrong person again, bang over the head, in the bin, then I get the person I actually want. But it's just funny, do you know what I mean? Like in other stealth games, you might be like, oh, for fuck's sake, why is it not giving me the person I want? But of course, it's, the systems are sort of just a bit chaotic by nature, and that's fine. Like, it's just slapstick.
With that, you're just thinking, like, did they both wake up and be like, how did you end up in this place?
Waking up in that, yeah. Like, oh,
just
hi.
checking out a tap.
Yeah,
I heard me too.
It's just, and then, like I say, and the fact that it has these objectives where, like, both, they're all optional, but it'll just, so, that mission, it was like, oh yeah, and like, you need to kill the target with a submachine gun. So I had to carry this briefcase around, avoiding any, like, security checks, and then just, like, on this stairwell, just calmly, case out on the floor, open it up, submachine gun, back in the case, and then just sort of running away, like, hoping no one, like, twigged that it was me. It's so stupid. I love it.
Yeah, I want to play this, but I mean, I've had it downloaded, but I'm hearing you talking about it. Another you'll mention freelancer mode. I'm like, okay,
you got into it, didn't you? At one point,
yeah. I love the first one. Streamed the first one. Streamed maybe a little bit of the second one, possibly, but it's just an incredibly funny.
Wait, you've not done the Knives Out mission?
No, because I did all of 1. I didn't play any of 3. No.
Do that one. You like that film, don't you?
I did. Yeah, I love that film. Yeah. Well out for that.
Yeah,
but no,
it's good.
I want to try freelancer mode. It sounds excellent. Would you say, Sean, this does feel like the kind of, it feels like it's always been the end goal for Hitman? Is this like the perfect way to play Hitman, or is it just like a curious new way, but not necessarily the perfect way?
It's different. It's a different way of playing it, yeah, and it's a very fun way of playing it if you've exhausted, like, the typical, like, story stuff. I wouldn't like if they put a new Hitman out and like, oh, it's just freelancer mode, I'd be disappointed. But yeah, it's just a very interesting take on the usual formula.
Yeah, I read someone else, or I mean, I've heard someone else say that a lot of people were kind of creating their own rules in Hitman anyway, and this almost like this is it, but in the way that we're controlling it, and in a way that you can kind of we built a game around the thing that everyone else has been doing for months or years at this point, making their own rules about, I'm going to kill this person, not use this. So it's clever how they've done it, and it looks awesome.
It's proper good. But yeah, that's basically all I played this week.
Okay, James, last game on the list we got is Pentiment.
Yeah, so this is the other game we've been playing. I
finished it. This is where he's going to go. Have you finished it?
I've not finished it, no.
Okay.
I finished Act 2, and then I got into Act 3, and I was playing it at home, and I'm a bit worried about this now, because what happened was I played it like Act 3 for about 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours, I think, and then I thought, okay, well, I'm away from home. I'm going to play it through the cloud, so I can continue playing. So I loaded it up last night when I got here, and the save game was from right at the start of Act 3, and so now I don't know what's happened there. I don't know how that happens at all. I've no idea, because I thought that it synced save games automatically, like in the cloud, like on Xbox.
It does, yeah. I've used that tons.
So I don't know why that's happened. Now I'm not going to touch it now until I get home, and then I'm going to load it up on my Xbox with the Ethernet cable unplugged, so I can just play it a bit. And so, because I don't really want to have to go through, play through another 2 hours again of what I've already done with the game. But I mean, Matt, did you finish this?
No, I didn't. I don't know how many hours I put in, but it wasn't that many. I enjoyed what I played, but I just stopped because other things were happening.
See, I mean, I know Sean's finished it. I've been chatting with him about it a bit, and it's a strange game because it's quite slow. Like the opening is quite slow.
The opening is, yeah.
It takes about 2 or 3 hours, I think, to really get going, and then it really speeds up and becomes, I think, quite a lot more engaging. But I mean, I just enjoyed the general exploration and conversations I had with people prior to that. But then when it
I
ramps
was
up,
enjoying that. I played about an hour of it, and I just thought, oh no, I quite like this pace, and mainly because of what people were saying to each other, it was keeping me engaged in that. So
yeah.
It's not bad. That slow pace and slow start to a game is okay if it feels like it's building to something.
Yeah, and if it's well scripted as well, which this is.
Yeah.
Like it's there's some interesting choices, great dialogue choices you can have as well. Which I mean, especially there's that character. I mean, this is not spoilers, but at the beginning there's that guy called Martin. Who's just like you meet him and he's just an arsehole like the whole time, and it's just like whatever you say to him, it's like the last thing he said to me at one point was "eat shit."
Yeah.
So then he just like runs off, and it's like fair enough. That's kind of okay.
I like characters like that. Reminds me of myself.
But yeah. But I mean, that's what I enjoyed about this. Even though like the slow pace, it was still interesting to chat with these people and to explore the town and see how it evolves, over periods of time. It was pretty good. But I mean, the end of Act 2, like when I got to that, it was quite devastating. Actually, what happens
brutal,
there, and
yeah.
I wasn't sure how much my choices had impacted where I ended up with that, but I felt quite bad. About the way it ended, with that, and it was it's kind of horrific, but very, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I won't comment for fear of spoilers, but yeah, it's it doesn't that chapter never ends well, put it that way.
But then, like Act 3, I found feels a bit like an epilogue to it, really. Like it doesn't feel. It doesn't feel on the same kind of level as the first two chapters, really. It feels like you're just sort of like wrapping things up, but the pace slows down significantly, introduces other characters and stuff like that, and it's an interesting. It just doesn't feel.
I know what you mean. It's the pace of it is very different, and just in terms of like what you're doing in that chapter is not like the others. Put it that way. But I thought it was interesting enough to justify that.
How many chapters are there?
3.
The third one is probably
a
bit longer than the others, to be fair.
Yeah.
But
But then it's also, I mean, I read this piece on I can't remember where it was actually, the other day, like about Act 3, where they were talking about how it's kind of a bit dull, and it kind of feels like because your character that you play in that is also considering whether to leave or to stay. And the person who wrote it was saying that, by that point of the game, they kind of felt like this was actually the point to leave. And that was the path they wanted to pursue with the character, which I thought was quite interesting. Like this idea
me and
that
Lake. Like me and Lake. Hey, do you want to stay in this town? Fuck no.
Let's not slag off Lake, David.
Why not?
Only for that. It's a lovely game. It's a lovely experience. He's slagged off and actually probably ruined for a lot of people. So
good.
Let's move on. What were you saying, James?
But that's what it was like with Pentiment. It's like you spend a lot of time in the same location, which does change over time. But then you do. I have got to the point where I feel like I think I've kind of seen enough at this point of this.
But that's the sticking with the one location is totally on purpose though, right? Because it's you uncovering things over that sort of 20-30 year period. But then also the way over that period you're digging further back into the history of the town as well.
Yeah.
So it's I get why they did it. But yeah.
No, it definitely works. It completely works. It's just that by the time after you spent 15 hours or whatever in that same environment, it's you do. I'm not saying this as a negative. I'm just saying you get to the point where you're like, I think I've seen enough
Really
like this now. I'm quite happy for the character to move on.
Yeah,
because I'd like to.
Yeah.
But it's good. I'm not sure if it would have been on my Game of the Year list, but it certainly would have been close because it was
dig there, needless dig there, Sean. No, needless dig there.
Unbelievable.
I'm not having a dig. I'm just saying
it's crushing dreams left, right, and centre tonight, isn't he?
Felt like a needless dig.
Right,
I'll be interested to hear how you feel by the end. If that changes things at all, but yeah, we'll see.
I'm just hoping my save game is all right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to questions.
if you've got a question you would like to ask us, go to tcgs.co/Dear TCGS. What was it? I think it was This American Life, where they were giving out a website URL, and they're like .co.uk, and I was like, mate, Ira, what are you doing? Tiny Tim says, as a 13-year-old footballer, I hope I have dramatic eyebrows like Dr. Farley when I grow up. They express so much while doing so little during talksovers and weekly listener questions. Please, Dr. Forward Farley, share your tips with a footballer who wants to tell his coach to piss off using only his eyebrows.
James, have you got active eyebrows? I mean, oh, you do.
Yeah,
I'm not noticed that.
Look at the range of movement on that. Look at the travel on those bad boys.
I would have said that.
Yeah. You're like the dad from American Pie.
What?
Yeah, you are.
He's
Yeah.
the dad from American Pie.
He is.
You are. Look at those bad boys. Look.
Do you train? Do you train to do that, or is it just natural?
Do you trim?
Ooh.
I'm trying to do the thing where you do one on the other, but I can't.
Yeah, like the
Yeah, I
rock.
can't do. Okay.
You really are the rock. of
Listen,
TCGS.
stop that. Do you trim them?
I do actually from time to time.
Right. Okay.
No harm in
okay.
that.
Right. Questions. I've got questions for
We all
you.
do that.
Can I explain why? I've got
In a bit.
on this one in particular.
Yeah.
I occasionally get a rogue one that
Yeah,
goes
we get-
really
yeah,
long,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like
I
yeah,
get
it's
them.
really weird.
Yeah.
Probably one of my
Right.
favourite Star Wars movies. Yeah.
Okay. You've got. That's what it was about. That's what that one was about. James. Oh, we've lost him.
Yeah, you've done him.
He's muted himself because he's having coffee. Oh my god! Oh my god! Did you see what happened to him then?
Well, went off his chair. Amazing.
Okay, sorry. I need to.
Oh, that
Right,
really
okay.
landed. I like that one. That's
We
really
need
good.
to. We need to clip that because James looked like he was falling into the fucking. Right, okay. James.
God.
Do you go to barbers?
No, not anymore. I don't know.
So who cuts your hair?
Jen does.
Right. And does she do your eyebrows?
No, I do that myself.
How do you do it?
Well, okay. I trim them slightly with my razor.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
What do you make? Well, do you use a manual razor or electric?
No, I use the electric one.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's risky.
Yeah, man, that's a scissors job, not a.
Yeah.
not
It
a
is,
razor.
but then no. If it's a rogue hair, like one that's like really obviously, then I'll
Yeah,
scissor
but
it.
what if you
See, I don't know.
haven't-
My
So that's
barber,
quite
my barber
difficult.
does it for me. My barber just
quite-
goes, "Nah, I'll do it," and he
It's
does it
quite
for me.
difficult to do because when you're doing it in the mirror, like trying to do scissors in the mirror is
Yeah, it's
Mhm,
difficult.
mhm.
Oh my god.
So hang on. So when
how-
you say you don't go to barbers anymore, is that just because you genuinely don't want to, or just because you don't want to have to make small talk in German?
Well, I don't like making small talk in English either.
Well, there we go.
It's,
So yeah.
I mean, I
You
avoided.
don't need to, do you?
I stopped going there. It was probably during the pandemic actually, because you see, I've not got a lot of hair to cut anyway.
Oh
And it's
fuck off! Why do you always try and hang out with Sean
Because
and Matt
it's
when you
true.
clearly got plenty of hair?
I
Yeah, you
haven't,
take
yeah,
a
but
piss,
not.
actually, James.
Yeah,
My hair
Yeah,
is
I'm
still
with
to
you,
be
Matt.
honest.
My hair is still terrible and I hate it. But anyway,
Yeah, but that's different from not having
I was
hair.
going to say I'd
though,
still
right?
take yours over mine, but all right.
Yeah. Wanker.
Yeah, but Matt, how many times does Jill have to cut yours, mate?
What, eyebrows or hair?
Hair.
Well, no. So I shave all my hair on Sunday nights, and she comes up and fixes the bits that I missed.
Oh,
Yeah.
Does she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
I
Yeah,
used
'cause
to.
there are always bits where I've managed to like miss a bit. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'll do my hair, and she'll do the last 1%.
Do you remember
So-
when we were at a wedding, Sean? I'm sure we've mentioned it on the show. And Nu just looked at me and went, "You've got massive hair sticking out of your ear, and I'm going to pluck it."
Oh yeah, she actually. Yeah. that was good.
Oh god, that's the sweetest thing anyone's ever done for me. Sorry, James. We're talking about your hair.
stop now. Let's move on to the next
Your
question.
luscious
Okay.
hair. Sorry, yeah. So I'm going to read this as it's been sent to us. This is from Tim Tam, the Question Man. Who says, would you rather have unlimited cheese but no more games, or games, unlimited games but no games?
Unlimited games, but no game. I'm an episode title.
I assume it's supposed to be unlimited games but no cheese.
Yeah, we should leave it how it is.
It's brilliant.
I think Tab's had the question man has to reevaluate his name. Tim's had the question man. I fucked the question. If that's all you are, Tim Tam, you've completely ruined
You dedicated your life
existence
to this.
Tim Tam the fucked it man.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Tam.
Would you like Tim Tams or unlimited questions, no questions?
Oh my god, we're getting suggestions in the chat. Tim Tam the typo man.
Yeah. Maybe Biscuit says never said the question had to be good or make sense. It's got a point. What were we saying? Yes, I mean it's unlimited games and no cheese
The
for me.
irony there is that Moomin Biscuit said the question. So even Moomin Biscuit is typoing, which makes me think.
Yeah,
Sean,
they've since corrected
it. Maybe Moomin Biscuit might just be Tim Tam, the question man.
Moomin Biscuit. We're gonna have to change their shout out on the full Nelson list.
Yeah. Unlimited Moomins, no biscuit.
Okay. So would you
the
rather have
question.
unlimited cheese and no games, or unlimited games and no cheese?
games.
For me, it's easy.
Games and no cheese, right? Yeah.
Yeah, games. No
I mean,
cheese.
I'd be sad about it. I'd be very sad about it.
I'd be absolutely.
Well,
gutted.
because think
Cheese
of,
is my
think of the things you couldn't have. No more pizza.
favourite.
No more lasagna.
Well, actually, when I was at school, I made a pizza with Nutella and
I did that.
yeah, sweets on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
awful.
think we've had this conversation.
Yeah, I think we have.
Yeah.
Isn't it good
Yeah,
when you
it
have
was
these
shit.
things and it's like let's just act like we've not said this before.
Oh yeah, we should do that, shouldn't we, for the
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, it's good.
James Farley.
I mean, what a fucking horrible thing to do, isn't it? Like, just.
I thought this would be easy for you.
Well, no, it's got. I mean, I'd have to choose games because I love them probably more than cheese, but it's still horrible. Like, you know.
Jen,
Cheese
get the
free
box. Put a few games in there. Lock it. You're locking up the wrong things.
Joe,
Matt?
the worst thing about this is Ash has got into that box now so many times because it's only a 3-digit box.
Mhm.
Was
And
it
so
he's worked out the pin?
Yeah, he just sits there and works
Yeah,
out the
we
pin.
established this last time. He was
Yeah.
taking the piss out of
just brute
James because he
forces it.
knew the pin and James didn't.
He did it on the chocolate box the other day as well.
Sorry, there's also
Apparently-
a chocolate box.
So
Yeah.
there's a chocolate box.
Yeah, there's a chocolate
A
box.
separate chocolate box.
There
Is
is a
that in
separate
Is that for
chocolate
you
box.
as well?
That's for me as well, yeah.
Fucking hell.
It's to stop me eating the chocolate.
I can't
You've
laugh.
seen me.
New hides the biscuits from me for the same reason. So
Is there a gin and tonic box? Yeah.
No, there's not one of those. No.
That's-
Is the Jägermeister
it's only a
box?
matter of time.
She doesn't care about that. She's just bothered about the
can
the
be an
overeating is the
alcoholic.
problem.
Just
Yeah.
lay off the cheese.
Is there
Yeah.
a pornography box, James?
There might be.
Oh my god, there fucking is. Is it
No,
in the
there
fridge?
There fucking is a pornography box.
No, there's not. No.
Right. Well, I'm convinced. I don't know about you guys.
I think there might be.
Definitely put that one to bed.
What's the
James
pin?
has got a porno box.
Oh my god.
He's got a porno
Is
box.
it just
And I
materials or is
guarantee
it
the
toys
code
as
on
well?
it is 6969. Oh god.
Oh blimey.
Is it just toys in it?
Come on, just
Okay.
move on.
Fucking
So that's
hell.
a yes. Thanks, James. Warner says Dave mentioned games have a 4-year grace period before spoilers are fair game. Go on
right.
then. How does The Last of Us end?
When did the remake come out?
Well, because there's the remake and there's the TV show, right? Which I know deviates, but that
Oh my
that
God.
sort of makes
Something
it current
happened this
again,
week.
right? Go on,
Something
Dave.
happened this week, right?
Mhm.
So obviously, last week was the Bill episode
Mm.
of The Last of Us, and we all know Bill from the game. And I said to Joe, "Warning: Bill is a shit character. So if it's a shit character, forget it."
I'm
We
not sure. I
watched
don't think
it.
I remember Bill from my limited time with the first game.
That's where you stopped.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Makes
got
sense.
to Bill.
Okay.
You did get to Bill.
Right.
Because I think didn't you get to the gym?
Yes.
Back
Got to the gym.
and
Yeah. That's where I stopped.
You met Bill.
Yeah. Right.
But we watched it. We were in floods of tears. We thought it was a fucking phenomenal episode, right?
Mhm.
I don't know. Have you been watching it, Sean?
I haven't. No.
Right. Okay. So,
Do you have no interest? I know you haven't played the game, but do you have no interest in the show? Or are you waiting for it to come out
It's tense as fuck.
That's the thing, yeah. Just not in I'm very rarely in a place to enjoy tense, stressful, sad things.
Right.
So yeah.
Well,
got real life for that.
I don't think it has been that bad so far.
Oh,
Is it not?
episode 2, Matt.
Yeah.
That was 45 minutes of pure tension.
Okay, apart from
That is.
But right, so episode 3 was all about Bill, a character from the game, and they turned what was arguably the worst character in that first game into one of just an absolutely incredible character with an incredible story to tell. They changed things quite dramatically along the way, which took me by surprise, because I was like, well, how are they getting out of this? And whatever. But what was amazing, Sean, is that, I don't know if you saw it in the week, Sony said, you've watched the show, but here's a clip from the game that shows you the Bill and what he did. And I looked at it and go, how did no one at Sony just go, don't put that out?
Yeah, don't.
That's literally like... That's literally like saying our game was shit. We fucked that character up. You fell in love with a character. Look how shit it was in our game. Look,
you're right.
The
The games are
amazing
rubbish.
video
Better.
Yeah, the game is amazing, right? But you literally showed the worst possible thing in your game, and compared it to.
Yeah.
And
at a time where public sentiment,
episode of the team.
Yeah, at a time where public sentiment towards the show was at an all-time high.
Oh,
that's how you capitalise.
I was like, Sony, just shut the fuck up and wait until next week. Do you know what I mean? Because Jesus. But yeah, the show's been good.
Shazad
Ahmed says, I've been thinking about getting a Steam Deck. Is there any chance of a bit of a review and thoughts by Sean? Thanks. I did think about. Oh, hello, we've got a guest. Oh, mate, he looks furious. You're right, Charlie. He can't hear us, can he? Oh, bless him. Sorry, everyone. Charlie's on Dave's camera. Steam Deck. I did think about doing like a video about it and calling it like Sean's Big Important Thoughts : Steam
good.
Deck. It sounds like a
Should've
series,
called it
doesn't
Sean's
it?
Deck.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. I mean,
you getting Steam Deck, are you?
Yeah, I fucking love it, mate. It's like when the Switch came out and it was like, oh my god, this is like a new way of playing a bunch of stuff away from the telly. It feels like that again. Like I do. Like if you think you can be patient, like there are reasons to maybe wait for the next one. Just minor things in terms of like the build quality and stuff. Like it's solid enough. Just little things like, so I put a screen cover on it the other week and did it flawlessly. Dead pleased with myself. I usually fuck them up. So I was feeling very smug. Turned it on. I must have like pressed it too hard at the edge of the screen, and there's like a bit of like a light leak at the top now. You never really notice it when you're actually playing stuff, but whenever I first turn it on, I'm just like, there it is. That's gonna upset me a little bit for about 2 seconds.
I hate that. But then I just get angry at myself.
Yeah.
And then it's all I think about for the rest of the day. Joe gets so wound up when I get like that.
Because it's mean. It's like, cause, like my phone has a big crack up the screen. And when I am using it, I do not notice it. But it's as I pick it up and look at it, and I'm like, oh.
I wouldn't do it. I would get that sorted straight away.
I
can't.
Anyway.
I can do it.
I do absolutely love the Steam Deck. It's just there's been a couple of lessons in terms of like the SD card you put in it, right? You have to get an expensive one. You can't just put any old SD card in it and be like, oh well, what's the difference? They're all pretty quick. I got like a cheaper Samsung, not cheap, like still mid-range on paper, the same specs as like a more expensive SanDisk one, right? I got this Samsung one, like brilliant, that'll do. Bunged it in, and then found that like if I was downloading anything more than like 5 gig, it would like download would be like full whack, really fast, and then it would just stop. And it's apparently because the SD cards have their own like cache, right? So as they're downloading, like as they're writing stuff, like that can run out. and then suddenly the Steam Deck's like, right, well, I can't download anything now for like the next 5 minutes while this fucking SD card catches up. So then I had to...
Is it like an A2 or one or whatever it is?
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's like you look at SD cards and on paper they can be the same, like in terms of read-write speeds, but then beyond that, there's just, like I say,
so
there's how the cache works.
What one have you got? What type have you got? What one do you need then?
So I got a SanDisk Ultra something, I can't remember, 256 gig, which is plenty, to be fair. Because this was the thing, like, because I didn't need like a huge SD. I don't need shitloads of storage as long as it's easy enough to swap games in and out. But it wasn't like it was like when I first downloaded Miles Morales, it took like a day to download because it was just stopping constantly and going like, I'm just writing stuff to the disk. Give me a minute. And then it would download a bit more, and then it would stop again, and it was agonizing to watch. But yeah, as soon as I put this SanDisk one in, it was just like, whoosh, off you go, like full speed. So it's stuff like that, just like little teething problems.
Yeah.
And it's not, like I've said, I've sort of tried to keep mine as sort of console-like as possible. There are still games where, so like if you put it in a dock and you connect an Xbox controller, some games will just be like, nope, nothing works. Sorry, and then you have to sort of dig into like user configurations for the controller and stuff, and they are usually there, and that functionality is really cool, but it's never as seamless as like an actual console, right? So there are little hiccups like that, but still, the fact that I can just put it in a dock and play PC stuff on the telly really easily is great. Yes, it's in 720p. You'd be surprised how little that bothers you.
Even docked at 720.
Yes, I mean you can force it higher, but just because of the spec of it, it's usually a bad idea.
You know what puts me off? Like if I was to get a Steam Deck, you know what puts me off putting it on a big telly? The fact that fucking hell, man, how many HDMI ports do you need these days?
It's getting daft.
Nuts, right?
Well, this was why I first started using like AV amps, was just because tellies had about 2 HDMI ports at the time. So I was like, well, I'll get an amplifier, give myself way more ports and have some nice speakers at the same time.
But does the amplifier, like, does that support the 2.1 HDMI?
Yeah.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, so because it's an AV amplifier.
Shit?
How much was mine? It was like $250, something like that. You can get, you can pay as much or as little as you want. Really, it's one of those.
Right.
I mean, for most normal people, a sound bar is more than adequate. Like, you don't have to. I'm not saying like, oh, you should get a hi-fi one. Like,
it doesn't add it doesn't add any extra HDMI.
No, in fact, it takes one up, doesn't it? If you're using HDMI.
Well, yeah. No, I just use the optical thing.
Okay.
This is all very boring. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so running stuff in 720p sounds awful, but like, yeah, you'd be surprised how little it bothers you. Like, so when I was playing Miles Morales, one thing that is really nice is because obviously the way it all synchronizes with your Steam account. So if my PC is on in the office and I'm playing the Steam Deck on the telly, I just go to Miles Morales and it's like, oh, did you want to run it here or did you want to stream it from the PC? So I'd be like, oh, actually, stream it from the PC, 4040p with ray tracing, thanks. So like that stuff is really cool. Whereas like when I had a Steam what do they call it? Like a little streaming box. Steam shit. Yeah.
Machine? Steam Link, yeah.
Steam Link, yeah. Like I had one of those set up and it was just like a bit too annoying, whereas just having that Steam Deck interface and just being like, oh yeah, I could just stream it instead. Yeah, brilliant. Was really nice. But that's not necessarily an option for everyone. If you've bought a Steam Deck instead of a PC, then that's, you don't have that option. Little things like if you want to set up like Game Pass streaming, it's not hard. There are guides to do it, but you're like typing in like bits of code and stuff, just like I haven't fucking clue what this means. I'm just going to copy what Polygon.com says and cross my fingers. So yeah, there's like little things like that where you will sort of dig into like console commands and stuff. But
yeah, can't. That's putting me off. All that shit is putting me off from getting.
But this is it. Like that's as far as I've. Yeah, you don't have to do that stuff. That's as far as I've gone with it, really. Like I still haven't put any emulators on yet. I gather that is getting increasingly streamlined now, and is tempting. So like I think I said on the show, like when Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, whatever it's called, Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, you're going to rip it off.
Yeah, like I will still buy it, but if people are saying like, oh, it runs better on the Steam Deck, why wouldn't I play it on there, right? So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, overall, I do love
download a car.
I wouldn't download a car. No.
I wouldn't download bread.
No.
I would though. That's the problem.
I mean, I definitely would. Yeah.
If I get away with it, I'd pay for some new brakes on my car. I'd fucking download them if they were free.
Yep.
Scum.
Yep.
Alfred's,
last question.
Mate. Like Alfred's.
Last question comes from Maria Mendieta. Sorry, it's not the last question at all. What the fuck am I talking about? I've scrolled down and there's more questions. Maria Mendieta says, Dear TCGS corrupted save files. Recently read that Matchday on the ZX Spectrum used reworked character models from Bear Bother, another Spectrum game. Essentially, the players on the pitch were bears with shorts and slightly larger heads. From a gameplay standpoint, which animals would make for an entertaining roster in the upcoming EA Sports FC title?
Octopus.
Yeah?
Just like rolling around.
Yeah. You could just
lizards.
grab the ball.
Lizards, yeah.
Just a team of lizards. Lizards. I'd play that. I'd play that. Sloths.
Lizards.
Sloth, definitely, yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think polar bears. Big fan of polar bears.
Polar bears are great.
I've got time for the polar bear. Yeah. I've got time. Everyone said giraffes, David. Remember giraffes? Yeah, I do, but I'm trying to stop with the giraffe chat. And I'll tell you why. Because I love them so fucking much that I'm worried that I'm going on about them too much. They are the fucking best, though, aren't they?
If it were giraffes in the game, everyone just think it's Last of Us DLC, though, wouldn't they?
That's true.
No, Last of Us didn't invent giraffes, you prick.
Yeah.
Giraffes are bigger than that.
Name one thing before that game came out that had giraffes in.
Chessington World of Adventures.
It invented storytelling and giraffes.
It's the greatest of all time. Fact.
James is checked out, so should we get on to the next?
Yeah.
He's nodding.
There's another question about giraffes. Sorry, Big Irv, I'm going to skip it. Dave's worried.
Checked out. But you're not in Germany, are you? So.
It's the weight between giraffes and rhinos, but that was a Marvel cool things, right? So yeah.
Oh, that's right. It was. Well, off it goes then. Phil Walters says, given his talent for naming things, can James come up with a Prohibition era gangster name better than Cruel Steve?
What were names from the Prohibition era?
Just normal names.
I think it's just like a cheeky gangster name is what he's after.
Yeah.
I don't think he's...
Claire?
Just like Jimmy the Knife or something.
Yeah.
But
Killer
not
Clarence?
Killer, that's good.
Killer Clarence, that's rubbish. No, it's not good.
Good.
He's really foul because he's checked out. If he was on it, he'd come out with something really good. like robbing the bag. You know, something like that. But instead, he just went Killer Clarence. Like, couldn't give a fuck. He's done for the day.
I should say...
Right.
Oh, God, sorry.
Sean, you know what really made me laugh about that stream? I watched that stream. And... so this is the stream where it's like a card game. Is it on your phone? Like, and the phone scans the cards.
Yep.
And the idea is that you're piecing the cards together to create a scene, which gives you a little, like, sort of, and you're putting together a drama, basically, or some sort of, like, you know. So it feels like you're playing detective, but all you're really doing is piecing a puzzle together to hear a story, right?
Yeah.
Well, firstly, what made me laugh is that there was a character called Tony G in it, which you thought was hilarious, but that is like a completely normal name to me because he's a very famous poker player.
Oh, really?
And I will have to send you a link. Anyone that knows poker knows Tony G and knows the specific video that I'm going to send Sean of when he knocks a Russian out of a tournament in one of the most outrageous outbursts you'll ever hear. It like it's crazy. But I'll send you that. But also I thought I've never wanted to be doing this professionally more than I did after I watched your stream, because I watched it and I thought it was really good. But I thought I would love to spend a day working on my own one to send you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that'd be so good.
Yeah, so just with that'd be brilliant.
Like, so what happens is that you pick up a card. All right, Matt, it was my idea. Stop jumping on. Yeah, no.
Make a competition.
So you scan the card and then you get this like audio play, but where I'm all the characters. Hey Gary, what are you doing today? I'm just going down the shops, I am. And just all of them are me. And
I mean, you wouldn't be any worse than the people on the.
Yeah, I know, that's pretty bad.
Fucking hell.
What I want is for you to go through the whole process of piecing everything together, pressing play at the end where it does the whole thing plus the prologue, and or the epilogue or whatever, and it is literally none of it makes sense. Like,
and by the end, I just despise you. Like that's the.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Just doing stupid fucking voice. But yeah, no, it's fun stream.
Right, okay.
Fun stream.
What's that? It was all on YouTube's.
It is all on YouTube's. Gasman says, "Dear gentlemen, review of 2022. Did Sean become much more northern this year?"
I don't think so.
Did
I wouldn't say so.
Can't pick anything out if you did.
No, I'm not sure. Where's that come from? I don't know what the.
I don't know.
What would that have meant?
It's a. I mean, Gazman's a full nail, so I'm not going to have a pop too much. But it's wild what goes through people's heads when they listen to this.
Gasman, if you want examples.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We don't know where to go with this.
Yeah, if you could let us know what led you to that question,
please come back next
I'd be
week.
really intrigued.
I'd love to know. Well, loads more sausage rolls.
Yeah.
A up more. I don't know. I mean, what?
You're right.
No, Gasman, that was Dave doing that.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. In case you got confused. No, I laid off the Gregs last year, because it was like the year before I had that Monzo end of year roundup where it told me I was in like the top 3% of Greg's customers.
Oh, really?
I don't think it was that high, but yeah, it was bad. Did not feel good about it.
I had my first Greg's for 398 days on Friday.
Whoa, who's counting?
Yeah.
I did.
I've got an app for that.
Was it worth
weekend.
it?
I had first Greg's in 398 days, first alcoholic drink in 40 days. It was a huge weekend for me.
Do you know what I had this weekend?
I need to quit again. What?
I had a Wendy's.
I don't think I've ever had a Wendy's. I don't think I've
Do
ever
they have those
been
in the
near a
UK?
Wendy's.
Yeah.
Really?
I have them in the UK. It was wonderful.
Where did you get them in the UK?
Oh,
I think in
Sutton
Canada
High Street,
once. It was
mate.
alright.
There's one in Sutton High Street.
I didn't know that was a UK thing.
TCGS
There's one
Con
in Sutton High
23.
Street, mate.
Venue
It was
sorted.
it was like a halfway house between a McDonald's and a Five Guys.
Right.
And same with the price as well. You weren't paying $5, you weren't paying 15, you were paying 10. And I tell you what, it was funny because for some reason, all of Wendy's burgers are called, do you want a Dave's single? A Dave's double? Harry found that hilarious until we saw the Baconator, which is bun, bacon, burger, bacon, burger, bacon,
Oh no.
bun.
No.
And I was like,
Too many layers.
he said it wasn't enough.
No, really.
Oh
Okay.
my god, it was. Yeah, I'm all about Wendy's at the moment. High
Fair dues.
It's probably for the best that's not in
high
need
what?
yet.
Quality. Good.
Last question comes from
Last
Michael. Says, please can you try and create your own ASMR audio/video? Pretty please. Thanks in advance.
Fine, James, you go first.
How do you do
Are we
that?
doing it now? I don't think people necessarily want it in the
based
podcast.
on
right?
what we but I just want to hear this. Based on everything we said about ASMR last week, try and do one. Say if we're saying right, we've got the camera set up. James, you got your mic. Okay, I'm going to say action, and you need to try and do an ASMR video. Okay, ready? And action.
Thank you for listening to TCGS this week. How was that?
Did that get you to?
I didn't.
It didn't.
Well,
I mean,
a lot of
it
people-
was short.
Yeah.
It was short.
Yeah.
Maybe you could do a little bit more.
I've run out of things
Getting
to
the
say.
delivery right though.
Okay, maybe do we let him do the socials in an ASMR?
Oh my god.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, shall I try and
You're
do that
saying
now?
yes, please, but you're sticking your middle finger up at me there, Matt. So I'm not 100% sure. Right, okay, let's do the socials. ASMR socials with James Farley. This is going to be disgusting, by the way.
Can you get some? Yeah,
Here
get
we
some
go.
mouth noises and some lip smacks in as well. They love that.
Oh, God.
Okay, right, okay.
Oh,
I nearly threw up.
Oh, I feel violated.
we finally hit the bottom of the barrel.
Or the top. That's all I'm saying. Maybe this is the next... we were talking about the next big trend in gaming.
Yeah, this is it.
James Farley ASMR. Let's go.
Okay, I'm gonna need to compose myself.
ASMR Lee. We can do that. There's a pun there.
Shut up, Matt. Go on.
Thank you for listening to TCGS. This week, on Thursday, we have Bell's Mystery Mansion. I can't do it. I just cannot do it. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
Just one more attempt. Last try.
Go on.
Are you nearly there, Dave?
What?
So are you nearly there?
Come on.
This Thursday, we have Bell's Mystery Mansion. Echoes the Microchip. On Friday, we have Hitman. I can't think of anything else to say, sorry.
Okay. Matt, finish him off.
I'm sorry, what?
You heard.
Yes, they're both on. Yeah, they're both live on Twitch. Search for TCGS in the app. If you miss them live, you can watch them on YouTube later. Speaking of that, connect your Amazon account with a Twitch account. You get Twitch Prime Gaming monthly, and you can give us your one free monthly sub. We really appreciate it. The Patreon is patreon.com/TCGS. We can get our monthly bonus shows, early access to Marvel calls, and also our video show. And the website is tcgs.co for links to our gorgeous Discord, store, merch, the lot. What the fuck was that?
James thinks that ASMR is where you pretend to be a little insect.
Thank you so much for living it. I don't know what happened this week. Sorry, everyone. We will catch you next week for some more gaming chit chat. Goodbye, everyone.
Ta-ra.
Fucking hell.
Goodbye.